There's a period in every person's life during which they're happier than they'll ever be again. For most of us, that time is called childhood. In Shigeru Miyamoto's case, that childhood was spent in rural Kyoto. Miyamoto spent the carefree days of his youth exploring the caves, forests, and fields outside of his family's home. You see, in 1950s Japan, people hadn't yet caught on to the idea that kids should be locked indoors with an iPad, where they can safely play their video games. Video games hadn't yet been invented. That's where Miyamoto comes in. Fast forward to 1984. At the same time that he and his team were developing Super Mario Bros., they were also underway on The Legend of Zelda. A game designed to be somewhat complementary to Mario, Zelda forewent linear structure and high score chasing in favor of an open world full of layered labyrinths and cryptic clues. This was a game full of puzzles and mystery that encouraged discussion and sold many a copy of the Nintendo Fun Club and later Nintendo Power Magazine to players in desperate need of hints. Upon its release in 1986, audiences fell in love with this grand adventure on a shiny gold cartridge, which would go on to sell over 6 million copies and become one of the most beloved franchises in gaming history. Shigeru Miyamoto once said, "I think that inside every adult is the heart of a child." Well, if that's true, then inside the hosts of this podcast right now, there must be a little sound going beep beep, beep beep, beep beep. On today's show, we venture into Hyrule for the first time in search of heart containers and our long-lost childhoods in The Legend of Zelda. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss.
So
One of us knows all about them.
that's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Bad with games. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan,
My name is Will.
and we are
Bad with games.
Yep. This week, we are discussing The Legend of Zelda, released on the Nintendo Entertainment System, 1986 in Japan. Didn't hit the old US shores until 1987. We had to wait.
And they had
We
to
were
wait a while
stuck.
for this episode too. It's already episode 4 or something?
4.
Gosh, how long is it going to take? That's what everyone was wondering. When are they going to do Zelda?
Is
Well,
that,
here it
were
is,
they
folks.
wondering that?
That's what they were screaming for it.
Wow. Okay. In all seriousness, we appreciate you listening. And you can always email the show, badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. Check out our currently free Patreon subscription, patreon.com/badwithgames. And we're on YouTube or in audio podcasts, whatever your preference. I don't know. I thought I would try saying that up
Yeah.
top, see how it felt.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it gives me something to say. I got to be honest with you. I got to admit something.
Right, yeah, admit it. Tell me.
I am, in today's episode, I am very excited for today's episode.
Mhm.
I'm also very nervous
Mm,
about today's episode.
nervous. Interesting.
I'm very nervous because I'm afraid you're going to say bad things about this game. And I'm actually scared.
Uh-oh. Well, it was revealed that I'm Pac-Man's biggest hater. Perhaps I am also
Right.
Zelda's biggest hater?
Right. I don't really have a strong attachment to Pac-Man. If you don't like Pac-Man, doesn't fucking bother me. Zelda is a little more of a personal game for me. Not particularly necessarily this Zelda, but as a franchise.
Right.
I'm just a little worried. I don't know how it's going to go today. This is probably how you felt before we discussed number 29, The Sickness.
No, I just assumed you would love that one.
Or before we discussed Stephanie Meyer's The Host.
Right, yeah, more like that. These are not... You can't make references to Patreon exclusive episodes from a podcast that we used to do. No,
you're right.
Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Instead, we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about The Legend of Zelda. Do we start with the cover, or do we start with our Zelda histories?
See, here's the problem.
What's the format of our show?
I mean, I think we should probably start with our histories, but here's the problem. We're going to forget to do the art until the end if we don't do it now.
No. I'm not going to forget. I heard a rumor that you have a history with The Legend of Zelda.
I technically have a history with The Legend of Zelda.
Would you be willing to share?
All right, so...
And I'm not talking about my Tetris song parody from a couple weeks back.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Because I was willing to share, you see.
Right, yeah. No, I do see. I get it.
Go ahead.
Now, all right. So, my Zelda history. So, first part about my Zelda history. I have never played a Zelda game before.
Sorry, I just came up with... you remember the comedian who does a little thing about her dad's Google history?
Yeah, I kind of knew that's where you were. Somehow I just knew that's exactly where you were going to go.
Well, you said it in the same cadence. My Zelda history. My bloody dad's Zelda history. Folks, go on YouTube and search for Dad's Google history. All right, that's it. I'm not going to interrupt again. Go ahead. This is your first Zelda game. Continue.
This is my first Zelda game. I'm actually curious. Would you think that I had played a Zelda game before or no?
I probably would have guessed that. I wouldn't think you had really played a Zelda game, but maybe there's a chance you were at a friend's house and they were playing Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker and you kind of watched some of it.
In that case, yes, I have watched a decent amount of Zelda, but not enough to ever get like a full playthrough or anything. Like the vast majority, I would say, of people I am friends with have been to some degree Zelda fans, right? Like most of my friends in middle and high school, I at some point was at their house and they were playing Zelda.
Makes sense.
I don't know that I would have known that you were like a huge Zelda fan as opposed to just like, yep, that's another one of the Nintendo franchises I like, but I would have guessed probably you are just because that is standard for people that I know. Now, like I said, I have not ever watched through enough of a Zelda to really like see much of a story, but I have heard a decent amount of talking about it and that sort of thing, so I have some sense of what goes on in these games. My primary exposure to Zelda was, get ready for this one, when I was in high school, me and my friends had a like D&D-esque role-playing campaign that went on for something like 3-4 years that was set entirely in the Zelda universe that I was a part of.
What the fuck?
Because of this campaign, I know some reasonable amount of like items or like terms or like types of creatures that there are, although not necessarily from this particular game. And I have some vague ideas of stories going on in the universe, like also because of this. So I have a reasonable amount of exposure to the Zelda world, but not directly.
This is maybe the most unique position of any person playing video games in history. This is strange. So this is a homebrew. Obviously, there's no official Zelda RPG. It was D&D. Somebody just
Yes,
invented the stuff.
it wasn't quite D&D, it was some other system, some like off-brand indie system that was more based around role-playing than combat, so like you had a lot more stats or traits based around like character traits or character interactions. But effectively it was the same thing, right? You sit in a group and you role play and you go through environments or dungeons that you talk to NPCs that the GM is doing or whatever.
Sure. Sure. Okay. And how many years did you say you were involved in this game?
A lot. Like at least 3. Like it's to the point where I want to say it's like 6 or 7, but it's like it's not. I was just like 14, so it felt like a huge chunk of my life, right? At that time.
Man, this is what I would dreamed of as a kid. I didn't get to play D&D until like college or later. I wish I was doing this. Wish I was friends
most
with
of
you.
my experience with role playing stuff was actually in high school. I didn't have enough friends in college who were into it, but like all of my friends who lived in walking distance of me in high school all were into that sort of thing. So it was easy to get together.
This is actually very
easy-ish.
strangely apropos for today's episode. Because I was going to make some comparisons to D&D with this particular game. I think there is not an insignificant amount of overlap there. And personally speaking, for a time when I was a dungeon master of a campaign in actual Dungeons and Dragons set in it was my own world I made up, but it wasn't Zelda. However, when I was planning out, I essentially treated it like a Zelda game. Like my go-to when I was designing sessions for this D&D group that I was doing, basically I would just think in my head, oh, well, this is a dungeon. And all of my puzzles that I came up with, whether it was inside of a dungeon or in the quote-unquote overworld, were basically just takes on puzzles you would find in a Zelda game. So to me, Zelda kind of it works so well, even though, I mean, D&D came first, so it's sort of the other way around. But Zelda feels like the template for any good Dungeons and Dragons game to me.
That's interesting because the game that we played was not that dungeony. You know, I do see what you're saying, having played some Zelda now, but like there was not that much. It wasn't that dungeony. It was a lot more like wandering around the overworld and getting quests and seeing people. One of my friends, who I think worked on that, or several campaigns, I think has, even to this day, has a real talent for just being able to improv NPC dialogue and then make it work, right? Like, I want to go over there. Well, I don't have any plans for this, but sure, I'll tell you exactly what's there. You meet this guy. Here he is. Here's his backstory. He's going to tell you a bunch of stuff. What the hell did I just do? I don't know. I'll figure it out after the session. It's going to become important to the story. So it was a lot more that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that I like. That is fascinating. I mean, some Zelda games are more dungeony than others, but for the most part, as a series as a whole, you're probably spending at least 60 to 70% of your time in dungeons. I mean, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but it's pretty much, it's what you do. It's the game is, when you're not in a dungeon, you're spending time getting ready to go back into a dungeon. Pretty much.
Yes. Right, yes. In this game, that is certainly how it is.
So that's interesting that they just forewent that for that campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's because, you know, I don't know. I don't know how many of my friends from that era had played this game at that time. You know, it was all like Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time type thing. I don't know if those games would be more appropriate for that or not.
They're still very dungeony. However, there's also, you know, obviously with technology, there's much more. The world's actually had many more NPCs you could talk to and do side quests and stuff. So much more fleshed out.
Yes. Sadly, I did not see a character that I played. My primary character in this, I played
Tingle?
I played Gorbaruda the Hat Man. I was a Goron hat salesman. And
wow.
I liked collecting and seeking out magical hats.
I love
my primary motivation.
I'm a big Goron head, for the record. Love Gorons.
Yeah, I was really excited. I was like, am I going to get to see some Gorons today? I didn't.
I
No
do not
Gorons in
think
this game.
Gorons appear until Ocarina of Time. I think that's
Okay.
the first Goron. Yeah, so that's something you'll have to wait for. Perhaps it goes without saying at this point, but I am a massive fan of the Zelda series. I do think, you saying, yeah, every person that you knew who played games was a Zelda fan or played Zelda. Yeah, it's probably the most popular franchise that exists, honestly. I mean, Mario is huge, but the thing about, I will say, the thing about Mario is, sure, everybody plays it. It's probably number one if you actually break it down, but certainly it's number one in terms of Nintendo's sales and things. But Mario skews a little more towards kids. Zelda is still also totally for kids, but it's also like, whether you're a teenager or an adult, there's never a period in your life when you're like, Zelda's not cool. Zelda always had this kind of, I mean, there was a thing with Wind Waker we don't need to get into right now, but for the most part, it always had this image that people of any age were into. And it just seems like its appeal is universal. And so it's not a unique position that I take, I think, to say that if I had to choose one, Zelda is pretty much my favorite overall franchise. It's just it's very rare to play a bad Zelda game. Like even the mid Zelda games for me, like there's the DS games people don't really love, certain ones like that. For me, just the inherent formula of go into dungeon, get item, leave, do stuff, go back into dungeon. Something about it is so immediately entertaining to me that even the weaker entries, I still enjoy that basic formula. So I'm a huge fan. I did not play this Zelda when I was a kid. I think I said in our intro episode, I didn't grow up with an NES. So I didn't actually play this until college or something like that, maybe late high school. I don't remember, but I did. I have beaten this game before. Okay. But I haven't played it in, 15 years or something. This was my first time this week going back to it. But it was really, it's the Super Nintendo Zelda that made me fall in love with the series, but we don't need to get into that. We need to get into this game, and we'll start with the box art.
Oh, good. See, I had forgotten.
I remembered. See, I'm staring at it.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
So let's look at the box art for the original Zelda. Pretty sparse. It's a gold background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks more like brown mustard color, but I think it's supposed to be gold.
I could see if it had a little bit of a shine to it, if it was a little glossy. That's goldish.
And there's a silver coat of arms, I suppose you would call it.
Yes.
And in each section is a different image: a heart, a key, a lion. What is going on in the upper left? It looks like window blinds. I don't know what that's.
I was going to say, okay, there's a key, and it's like the in-game key to unlock dungeon rooms. There's a heart. That's the heart that you have. There is a lion, which is just like the stereotypical European coat of arms lion that does not appear in the games, and I don't know why that's not a thing from the game. And yes, as you said, there appear to be window blinds in the other one. I guess they didn't have anything to put there, so they just closed the blinds on that one.
I don't know, but it also looks like, the rest of them look like engravings in a shield. Mm-hmm. And that one looks like somebody chipped away the front of it, and behind it was whatever that is. It's just lines. I don't know, what is that supposed to be?
It does look really rough, doesn't it? Like, it's got those hints of gold in it, unlike the other ones. Like, it looks like even if it was carved into the shield, it looks like it was carved in sloppily.
Okay,
it's weird. What is it?
Oh, okay, I know what it is.
What is it?
I looked it up. This is quite obvious now that I realize. And the original Zelda box art, there was a cutout there, so you could actually see the cartridge behind it.
That's
The
pretty cool.
Zelda came with a gold-colored cartridge, which is something that they carried on for other titles in the series as well. So that is a window of showing you, look at this shiny cartridge inside this box.
Oh, so is that like corrugated cardboard that somebody shoved behind and then they scanned to hold the shape and then they scanned the image and that's just
I,
showing through or something?
I think someone made that, and that's like it's supposed to be
put
just
it
a
there.
rough, imitation of what you would see, but drawn. It's strange to see it that way.
Weird.
But that does make sense now. That clears it up. Also, late in the game, you did not get here. I think I'm safe for me to say that. You do find a special magic key that I think has kind of a lion-shaped key head. So you
Sure.
could, I don't really think that's what it is, but you could sort of draw a connection there.
Yeah, but it's not that. I know that it's not that because it says on the box here,
It's
it says,
in the
includes
manual.
invaluable maps and strategic playing tips. There is a manual that came with it that I did look up and use. It is about 50 pages long. Comes
It's
with
not
the game.
that long. Come on.
I
mean, it is 50 pages long. I'm just saying it's not like there's a ton of text on every page. It's a little booklet.
Sure. You're gonna. I think to me it is a little bit shocking how many times I am going to say like, and then I got stuck and I closed the game, and then before I opened it the next day, I reread the manual and was like, okay, this is in there. Like you're saying, when you get to the late game, there's this key. Yep, that's in the manual. Yep, I read about that. I saw it. I know what it looks like. This is all. It's like practically a strategy guide, but it like kind of stops halfway through.
Yeah, it is wild. I mean, just the fact that even on the cover art, it's funny to advertise, hey, inside this box is tips for the thing you're about to buy. Right? Like usually that would be a separate purchase. Hey, you like this thing? Here's a book of tips. No. This comes with the tips. So I don't even know if I need that yet. You're telling me I need
Right.
it? Does that make me want to buy this more? I don't know what that does to me as a consumer.
Yeah, maybe you were playing it at your friend's house and you were like, I don't know, I don't understand what is all this shit? I don't understand how you know all this. And then you're like, I don't know if I can buy this game. It's too complicated for me. Oh, wait. It has invaluable tips and tricks or whatever it says here. Hold on.
They are
strategic playing tips.
Yeah, yep, both. they're selling you on the fact that this is a game that you will need help for. They're like that's part of the marketing. It's just so fascinating to look back at old box arts and like this would not be a box. This looks like the Criterion version of this box art. This looks like the teaser poster, not the DVD cover in Walmart, which would have, Link's face on it, for instance.
Right.
Like it's so minimalist. It's like, today a modern marketing, team would never allow this to happen. It just doesn't look like something that would sell.
Yeah, they're all in on the gold, I guess, because I guess they have the gold cartridge and the gold box. Yeah, it feels like they're all in on that. That's their marketing. This is the gold box, gold cartridge game. Nobody's thought to do something like that. What's our marketing strategy? Gold.
Yeah, you know who's into this?
Who,
I think you know.
Why don't you tell me?
I love gold. Gold member.
Mm-hmm.
From Austin Powers 3, which is called Gold Member. I almost forgot the title, but it's called Gold Member.
Wait, really?
I was like, what is it again? It's the spy who shagged me, and then it's the one with Gold Member. Which one is that? It's like the rise of Foxy Cleopatra or something.
God, that's where you're worse than me. What the?
Hey, come on. What can I say? You're bad with games. I'm bad with names.
That's kind of funny.
Do you think people like that?
It's not that funny.
Also, I like the choice of font on this cover. The Legend of is written in kind of a handwritten script, like someone giving an autograph, and then Zelda, this big red, more blocky font. It's not the font that the series would adopt for its logo going forward, but there's something that it's got a charm to it. I
Yeah, I
don't
was
know.
going to ask about that. I was like, this feels a little generic to be the Zelda font, but
Yeah, no, they have never gone back to the. I'm not sure about Zelda 2, but I'm pretty sure from onward, Link to the Past forward, they had more of an official, if you saw the Zelda font logo, you'd probably recognize it. Maybe you wouldn't.
yes, that's probably true. I probably would.
All right. Can we move on from the box art? I mean, let's transition because you were talking about it. Yeah, this does come with what essentially is like a mini player's guide.
Hmm.
I did also read through it before playing the game. I referenced it a couple times, not probably as many times as you.
Yeah, I mean, like, you also kind of know what's.
I mean, I've played this game before. I've literally played through the whole game before, so yeah.
That's true. But, like, yeah, I mean, like, every time I saw an enemy and I was like, what the hell's that thing called again? I can go to the thing because it's got all the enemies in it. Okay, that's what it's called, right? When I realized I had the boomerang and I was like, how do I use this thing? It doesn't seem to be hurt. Oh, I see it. I go read the manual. It says it stops them. Okay, I get it. And I can pick stuff up, right? Like, it's all in there, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you found, in this game, the boomerang, it can stun enemies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually another version of it you can find. It's the Gen Z Yang. And when you throw it, it says like it's giving stunning when it hits an enemy. Whereas the boomerang will say stuff like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Right, which is, they really took advantage of the sound chip in the NES to get those kinds of sound bites. Did you find that or no?
I'm quitting the podcast.
You didn't find it?
I'm not doing this anymore.
I heard they're adding an alpha.
Bye, everyone.
It's gonna say skibbity. Anyway, the Tim Zoomer loved that. All the Zoomers are into it.
Right? Yeah. I thought we told you not to listen to this.
The Legend of Zelda. It's the Legend of Zelda, and it's pretty rad. It's really rad. I think is the line.
But yes,
those baddies from Ganon. Yeah,
I think we were talking about this manual. So the first thing that this manual has in it, is basically a story, right? It's got a couple of pages with the full story, and then it's got like what's the backstory, what's happening, where's Link going, what's he trying to do, why is he trying to do this, how does the world work, who's Zelda, all that sort of thing. And it's very funny to me right off the bat that I'm reading through all this and I'm like, okay, so this is the story, and presumably some of this I'll see in the game. And the end, not really, no. It it feels like they were like, it would be really hard on our resources, right? Because this is the NES era, right? To actually put, like, we're not gonna have cutscenes where characters show up and like little speech scrolls on the bottom or whatever. I can't like put Zelda's nursemaid Impa or whatever her name is, in the game talking to Link. Like, we don't have the resources for that. So before you play the game, you read the prologue, and then you can play the game. And I find that very funny. I think that that's kind of interesting, this idea that this booklet sold with the game is like vital to understanding the story of the game.
Yeah. I do not know if the story was actually written alongside the game, or if this was a localization person after the fact saying, people are going to wonder what the fuck they're doing, we've got to give them some motivation. I don't really know, but I believe that most of what you read here is considered canon. Like, this is the story of the game. Did you sit at the title screen for a minute and see the scrolling text in game, or no?
Oh, yes, I did, actually. I kind of forgot about that because I didn't do it after the first time. But yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a little bit in there.
Right. But you could just completely miss it if you just don't sit, if you just press start. But it is very funny. This game has many typos and grammar errors.
Hmm.
The opening crawl reads, many years ago, Prince Darkness Ganon, spelled with two N's, which is not correct, stole one of the Triforce with power. Princess Zelda had one of the Triforce with wisdom. She divided it into 8 units to hide it from Ganon before she was captured. That's which is far less elaborate than the rule book, which reads like a freaking Lord of the Rings prologue.
So maybe it was just made up to fit what that. I'm
I do
gonna
not know.
I'm gonna say that canonically this Ganon is spelled with two N's and his first name is Darkness.
I like that. Would you say that? Would you consider that to be true canonically?
I would consider that to be true canonically. This is like is it King Koopa instead of Bowser? Is that
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that. He's a little different in this one.
It is a bit like that. Well, it is. I don't know if you know this. Almost most Zelda games are different time periods, different Links, different Zeldas, different Ganons.
I am aware of this, yes.
Okay.
I am aware that there's some kind of like the characters keep being like reincarnated versions of each other and people having debates about how to fit it all into a timeline, and maybe there are just multiple timelines because they don't fit into one timeline, or I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I have a whole book about it.
I'm sure you do. I've definitely heard a whole book about it, even though I didn't absorb most of it.
It's fascinating. I mean, the truth is Nintendo does not really give a shit about any of it.
Right. No, of course.
They're like, yeah, this one goes after this one. I don't know. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Buy
like
it.
that's the thing. It would be coherent, right? Like if they wanted to make a actual canonical timeline that made sense, it would just be there, and you could just look at it.
Well, they do.
Right.
They actually do have one, but it is just sort of confusing, and not every
It's
game.
guidelines.
I don't think they've said where the most recent games fit. Like they play it coy sometimes. They're like, "Oh, we don't know. Maybe you'll figure it out."
Yeah, no, that sounds like after the fact they slap it in. So now
Yeah.
it's like we'll just make a game, do whatever you want, and then when we're done, we'll figure out where it's in the timeline so that we can put out official press statements and make sure that they're all phrased correctly or something.
Well, I can tell you this canonically. This is one of the far later games in the timeline, even though it's the very first one, and I believe that's retroactively explains perhaps why this game is so sparse in terms of people versus the other games, which have like hustling, bustling villages full of NPCs. Is that the world has kind of become more scarce and a little bit dystopian in a way.
It's moved on.
I don't know about dystopian, post-apocalypse sort of a thing.
Right. I mean, I was going to say, how do you know this comes last? As far as I can tell, what happens in the story is Zelda gets kidnapped by Ganon.
There is, like I said...
Like, how do you know that this is this Ganon and not some other Ganon?
There is an official Zelda timeline that Nintendo did actually release. So, like, we do know about this. I'm sure most of the things that people know about it come from... like guidebooks and stuff, not from the game itself.
Sure.
But yeah. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that all. There's a lot of other very funny things coming from this being the first Zelda game and the translation stuff, sort of in the vein of, the bloopers in Mario or King Koopa, as you said. Even between the game and the booklet, there's discrepancies. And also just differences from this game to later games. The the instruction manual refers to the currency you get as rubies with a B.
I do see that, and if this was my first time being exposed to Zelda, I would just be like, yeah, sure, those are rubies. It's like gold. I do know that's not correct.
Yeah, it's just wrong. I mean, I can't not think of them as rupees. It's very strange.
I played a whole role-playing campaign where that was the primary currency.
There you go. Did you upgrade your wallet ever?
No, I don't think I did that.
Okay. We keep talking about dungeons. In this game, in this manual, they refer to them as labyrinths.
Yes, that is true.
Also, it's almost like it's an alternate dimension Mandela
the
effect.
underworld. The overworld has forests, lakes, and mountains. The underworld is an underground maze of dangerous labyrinths.
Right.
That's what it says.
Then there's some things that are just beyond the lore of Zelda. They refer to the D-pad as the cross button, which I thought was fascinating because like the D-pad was still new. Like they didn't know what they wanted to call it yet. The cross button. And they refer to the areas you go to on the screen as scenes. I thought that was kind of fascinating. They'll say like every, I don't even know what I would call them, just areas, just places in the game, but they're like move from left to right to go to a new scene.
Yeah, like if you're used to like an arcade or something like that, it's like, yeah, this is the next stage, but you just go between them because it's not a stage.
Right. Right. And then the biggest one maybe, you can, of course, save your game in this game.
Yes, I was going to say, you are skipping past the part where there are 3, I think, full pages dedicated to explaining... No, 4 full pages... 5? What the hell? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5 full pages dedicated to explaining how to save a game.
That's right. Which, as they call it, they don't say start a new save file.
No.
They say creating your own Link character.
Right.
Brilliant. Because people didn't know what that was.
I gotta tell you, reading this did not clarify anything. Like, as I was reading this, I was like, this must be telling me how to save. Because that's obviously what this is. But like, holy shit, I cannot make heads or tails what it's asking me to do. And I gotta also say, when I was trying to navigate doing it, it did take me like 2 minutes of pressing buttons to be like, wait, what am I selecting right now? Wait. It is not intuitive, the saving system in this game.
Well, they try really hard to make it thematic. So it says, Link, the hero of The Legend of Zelda, does not yet exist. You create Link by first registering your player name. You may create a total of 3 different Link characters. Maybe it was clearer back then because people wouldn't have a reference, but now it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Is that part of the storyline? What's going on? Creating him? It's odd. Well, here's, right away, that's one of several things that's really groundbreaking about this game. I believe this was one of the first, if not the very first, console game to have a battery built into it that allowed you to save your game. Before now, any game that had a save system, perhaps, with the exception of PC games, probably, because you had a hard drive.
Yeah.
But arcade games and console games, they had passwords, but not something like this. So this is a really big deal. Did you feel the impact of that?
I did, because like reading through this, it was very clear to me that this must be one of, if not the first times this was ever done, just because of how clunky and unintuitive doing it was, because of the way it was. Because it's not even the fact that it's like, oh, you make a new Link. It's like everything about the description and the fact that there's 5 pages dedicated to it, as opposed to just being like, yes, you do this to save your game, right? You do this to select your character or whatever. It's like, it's so obvious that they do not think that you have any idea what this is when they're writing this, right? They're just like, boy, this guy does not, like, he's going to be like, I don't understand. What do you mean save the game? That doesn't, like, it's going to get thrown away, or I don't understand. Wait, so then I what does that mean? Right? Yeah. Like, it's just written like that. You can tell.
Immediately they're trying to convey to you, or I don't know if they're trying to, but you can intuit from that this is a game that requires saving, which means this isn't just, you're not just beating levels, you're not trying to get a high score. There's an adventure here that will take you several hours to get through. and therefore it necessitated the use of a battery. And this was one of the things when they were making this game, Miyamoto, you remember that guy?
I guess.
Alongside Takashi Tezuka. I'll give him credit. They co-directed the game. They wanted this to be an expansive adventure. Part of it was they were doing this at the same time as Mario, and it was like, well, that's sort of our one thing that's more traditional, but let's make a game that sort of isn't about getting a high score. Let's kind of try to break away from that. And this is what they came up with. It worked out okay for them. I also love under this section, it has a section titled Playing with a Friend. And it just says, take turns.
Yeah.
There's no multiplayer option. Like they didn't have to tell you. You can just do that. Anyway.
Everyone's going to be like, but I want to sit down with my friends and play. I don't understand. There's no multiplayer. I don't get it. And they're like, well, you can I also do like that their take turns effectively is like make different save files and go back and forth between the different saves as opposed to take turns with the one link you have, which just seems insane to me.
I guess it was, you had to go back to the main menu. Okay, now it's my link.
Right, yeah.
Okay, here's the first really important question. This is going to indicate a lot of things about you and the respect I have for you going forward.
Uh-oh.
What did you name your player file?
I mean, I did just name it Will.
You are a fucking piece of shit.
I could have named it something.
You're a dumbass.
What did you name yours?
The correct name. It's Link. You have to name him Link.
There are 3 links.
They're all
these
linked.
Or any of these could be links.
No,
they have different names.
They're all links.
They all have different names. What, you're gonna have 3 save files all called Link? That's ridiculous.
That's their name.
No, come on.
That is his name. With the one exception, if you name it Zelda, it unlocks like the secret quest or something. Otherwise, his name is Link. That's proper. What am I, an 8-year-old, like writing on the bottom of Buzz Lightyear's foot so people know it's mine?
Listen, I don't understand how these kinds of games and save files work. So far, I've only played arcade games where you input your name and the high score so everyone at the arcade knows. I've never encountered anything like this before, so I'm just going to put in my name, you see.
Listen, you get a pass this time because it doesn't matter in gameplay, but by the time you get to later Zeldas, they will in-game actually refer to you by whatever you put in.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, at that point, we're going to have fun with it.
No, it's if you have to write Link. Otherwise, it's not Ganon.
If it doesn't auto-suggest Link as one of the options, right? If it's not like, what's your name, Link, or input your own, I don't know that I'll put in Link.
This
I may
sucks.
put in something else.
This sucks. I don't regret my Gen Z Yang joke. You deserved it. Now, as a longtime Zelda player, and even before I played this, I had already been familiar with Zeldas. It does occur to me that there's a lot of things in a Zelda game that I take for granted that to me are second nature that to you wouldn't be. For instance, killing all the enemies in a room to try and find a key. By the way, we should explain, in the game of Zelda, it's an adventure game. You play as a guy named Link with a sword, and you have to beat 8 dungeons with bosses in them. Actually, it's 9, and get items as you go, and get hearts to get stronger and save Zelda. Okay, now that that's out of the way, moving blocks. Even things like the phrase "Dodongo dislikes smoke." I immediately understand that phrase. I know what that means because I already know what that means. But as a newcomer to this, not this world perhaps, but this gameplay, I don't know what that experience was like for you. And also, compared to later Zeldas, this is a particularly more cryptic experience. There's a reason it comes with a 50-page instruction manual.
Yes.
I mean, let's get into it. What was it like?
Yeah, so I mean, given the fact that it does come with a 50-page instruction manual that covers basically everything, um, I was very much like, I am not going to look anything up. Like, either it should be made obvious through gameplay, like it should actively tell you in game, or it should be something that I can figure out, or it should be in these 50 goddamn pages of manual.
Again, they're small. That's a very small book.
Now here's the thing about that. You are saying, like, for example, kill every enemy on the screen is something you might want to do. That's in the manual. It tells you if you can't progress in a dungeon, try killing every enemy on a screen. See if that works. It tells you in there, if you can't progress, maybe you could try putting a bomb up against a wall and blowing it up. It tells you in there, if you see a tree in the overworld, you might try burning it with a candle. There could be a secret under it. It tells you all of these things. It doesn't tell you where, but it tells you you can try them. That being said, one thing that it does not mention was that you could move a block in a dungeon by walking into it. And that did shut me down at a certain point. It is the one thing where I was like, I'm stuck, and you were like, well, you could do these 3 things. And I was like, nobody ever told me about moving a block by walking into it. So so that was the one time that I got outside help.
Yeah.
Because I could not progress without it. It was not in the manual, or if it was, I somehow missed it. And I was just stuck. I was just like, well, I cleared all the enemies in the room. I cleared all the enemies in every room. I went through all the doors.
Well, let me tell you, if you don't like moving blocks, then the Zelda series is not for you, because that's pretty much everywhere.
Here's the other thing, though. It does tell you you can move blocks. It tells you can move these specific kinds of blocks, and you can do it once you get the power bracer. I had seen those blocks all over the place, and I was like, didn't see a power bracer yet, so I assume I can't move rocks or blocks or whatever.
I believe they are rocks that you use the power bracer for.
Yeah. Yes, but yeah, I like at that point I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know there's a mechanic to do it, and I know it's not this, so.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing. That is certainly a thing. It's funny because to me, I would think of trying to burn trees as a much more obscure thing in my head. Because I started with other Zelda games where they just tell you, hey, move that block. So it's like the first thing I think of.
Yeah, no, I mean, they tell you a lot of stuff in here, like Dodongo dislikes smoke. I did figure out what that meant, because the book is constantly dropping hints about, like, oh, these enemies are too difficult to hurt. You'll need to use some kind of other item. Get the picture? We can't tell you what it is, though. And so it's just like, I'm kind of expecting, like, all right, well, either I just have to try everything, or somewhere in the game there will be a hint. And I see that and I'm like, I wonder if it's the item with the smoke animation. Yup. It was.
Pretty smart. You're pretty smart sometimes.
Thank you.
I gotta hand it to you. Well, so what was it like? Because this is a game that's very open-ended. For games of the time, incredibly so. And even for now, I mean, this game is so ahead of its time. It's essentially, it is an open world game in every sense of the word.
I was almost immediately, like, in my first playthrough, I was like, well, this is just a full-on open world game. Very obvious.
I mean, it's crazy to look, if you look at all the other types of games surrounding it, even a Final Fantasy or, RPGs, they're still all pretty linear. The fact that you are just put into the world and 95% of it you can access from the word go. And there's no restrictions other than there's a few places you can't get to without an item, but pretty much for the overworld, at least, you can go anywhere.
Yeah. And the thing about the places you can't go without an item is that for the most part, you can see where they are and you can tell what item you're going to need, at least if you read the manual, right? If you read the manual and it's like use the ladder to get across one block gaps, then like I'm walking around exploring while grinding rupees and I'm like, oh, I see that if I had a thing that crossed one block, I could go over there. So when I unlock that, I'll come back here. Or like, oh, I see there's a raft that I can use at ports. It says that in the manual.
Mm.
Well, there's a port right there on the lake. When I get a raft, I'll come back here. Right? So like there were quite a few places that I was just like, yeah, I just already like once I get that, I just know where that is. There were a
Mm.
number of things that you were like, you should look up how to do this. And I was like, I think at one point you were like, you should look up at least how to get the magic sword. And I was all like, I found the magic sword before I found the first dungeon, but I didn't know how to get it. He just said you have to master it. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I guess I'll come back when I've cleared more dungeons. And eventually it worked.
Yeah, I actually did that and did not remember what you're supposed to do to get it.
Mhm.
I kind of had the same experience where I was like, huh, how do I master it? Didn't look it up. And then I just came back later and I was like, oh, maybe you have to, there's a Lionel outside the
Yeah,
cave. I'm like,
I
maybe you
thought
have to
that too.
kill
It
it?
didn't work.
So I guess I didn't kill it the first time, but then when I came back later with more hearts, I did. And I just like thought, oh,
Mm.
I guess that worked. Now, there's a better sword later on.
Mhm.
That one
That's
I did
also,
look
I
up
did
how to
not
get.
find that one, but it is in the
Um,
manual.
yes, that was when I learned like, oh, it's hearts. Okay, I see.
Oh, it is
Um,
hearts. Okay. I was not
yes,
sure. I thought maybe it was like the number of dungeons you've cleared, which is kind of hearts.
yes, could
I
be
did come
technically.
back and kill the Lionel because the first time I didn't. So I was like, maybe I got to kill the Lionel. I came back and did it. Didn't work. I
Mhm.
think when I did get it, I also killed the Lionel anyway, just in case. I was like, I'll just kill it every time I come here, just in case I need to do it.
That's one of those things where it's sort of unclear. Was this meant to be a cryptic hint about you must master it, or did the translation just go bad? And it
Mhm.
probably should have been a little more helpful. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
like, yeah, if it literally just said, like, you're not strong enough yet, that probably
Mhm.
would have been like, well, I'll come back when I got more stuff. Oh, I have more hearts. Maybe that's what that means.
Yeah, well, he says master it. It doesn't
Yeah,
really even mean anything.
right.
So,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
sword? What do you mean?
Do I need to hit you with the sword? Is that
Yeah,
what you're.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I mainly I just thought there's a certain point where some things in this game are so obscure that if you're
Mhm.
really stuck, they'll really help you. And I thought that's worth just breaking through that barrier to so you can move on a little. Particularly that sword, and there's a blue ring I kept trying to get you to get, which makes you take half damage. And you don't well,
That I did not find, yeah.
I shouldn't say you don't, but
Mhm.
I didn't find that I needed these things until like dungeon 5 or 6. I think 6 is the one where I left and I was like, fuck, 6 is a really big difficulty jump. I have
Mhm.
to go get more heart containers. But it sounds like you said you actually found heart containers on your own without like in the world outside of dungeons
Yes, I
without
found at least two outside in the world on my own.
that
Maybe,
honestly
maybe more.
That's
I
honestly
think it was two.
very impressive to me because I don't know if I did that in the past.
Oh, they were.
I'm gonna be completely
Mhm.
honest. When I was playing it this week, I was like, we have 1 week. I don't have the patience. I just looked up where the heart containers are.
Okay, okay.
Because I'm like, because in reality, you would have this game and you would spend 2 years like trying to bomb every wall you could ever find and burn every fucking tree in every stage. And I was just like, I know it's one of these damn trees, but I don't
Mm.
have the patience right now to try them all. I'm just gonna look
I
it up.
So the only thing I ever found, I don't think I actually found anything bombing walls. I think the only things that I found were like that were secrets were either under the what the Armos is that the statues?
Yes,
Uh
yes.
or burned trees. And the only things that I found under those were layers where moblins would give you coins or rupees.
Mm.
Um
That's one of the blue
now
rings is under one of those. The blue ring.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's probably in one of those, right? Like any of these items I haven't found yet, because at a certain point I was like, I've been over basically the entire map. I know that. So they must be hidden somewhere. Um But two of the hearts, one of them was just like you can just see it on screen. If you have the ladder, you can walk over
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's right.
And one
Yeah,
of them was off a port. Like if you take a port, you find a cave and there's an old man and he's like, "Would you like an
right,
extra heart or a
right.
healing potion as the extra heart?"
Yeah. That's true. And those two are pretty much they're much more obvious.
Hmm.
It's really the ones where there's a specific tree you have to burn, and there's a specific cave or rock wall you have to bomb to find a cave that's like,
Hmm.
not so obvious.
Yeah.
But
No, but like the thing is I did still find some layers because it tells you to do that. And if I had been playing for more than a week I probably would have. But um
mhm.
yeah, I mean like by the time that I was done playing this, I had to like go back and oh, I need to I want to buy this thing. Oh, I need to rebuy my stupid shield because it got eaten by that the
Ugh,
like or whatever.
the
Oh, I
worst.
need to buy more healing, another healing potion because I fucked up and I can't go back with that. And so by the end of it, I had been basically around. Every time I did it, I was like, well, I'm just going to wander around the place in a big circle. I think I could navigate the vast majority of that map by pure memory because I've been around the whole thing like 5 or 6 times. So,
Yeah, yeah. You do get it's like big enough to feel expansive, especially
mhm,
for its time, but small enough that you will get a feel of the layout somewhat early on. And the way that the screens are varied because it has that screen transition thing as opposed to
mhm,
being a real open world where it actually feels interconnected. I think that helps you keep it in your mind of like, all right, you go up 3 screens and then left one or whatever.
yeah.
um, so we kind of got away from it. We keep getting on tangents, but I want to know what your initial. So like you start the game, you walk into a cave and get a sword. I assume you did that.
Mhm. It basically gives you a step-by-step guide to beating the
Right.
first dungeon, which I read through but then didn't use, although I did have to go back because I was like, I read it so I know where the first dungeon is, and then I kept going around the wrong lake and I was like, I cannot find this. I literally found dungeon 5 in the Lost Hills before I
Yeah.
found dungeon 1. And I was like, all right, I gotta go back and look at the stupid map to see where dungeon 1 is. Um,
I think it was Dungeon 3, the one that's in the woods on the left. I
mhm.
think that's 3. Maybe it's 4. That I didn't find for so long because there's just one area where you go to the
Mm.
right, and I never. It took me so long to go in that corner. I was like, oh, it's right here.
So there is a larger map in the guide that it tells you to try not to use if you don't need to, but used it a decent amount in between. Like in between playing, I would come back and look at the map and be like, okay, so that's where I was. Like I never looked at it
Mhm.
while I was, or I rarely looked at it while I was playing. Like unless I was just like, all right, I'm sick of this. Pause. Okay, it's there. Come back. I wasn't looking at it. But that one was actually when I first went to Dungeon 3, I was just kind of walking around randomly grinding because I was like, I just need some more money. I need a healing potion. All right, and then I'll like get some more. And then I just accidentally stumbled onto Dungeon 3 and I was like, oh, I have full hearts. All right, here I am.
Did you have clear eyes?
Hmm.
Because if you had both, then you couldn't
Yeah, well,
lose.
but but yes, so I did beat the first 3 dungeons. I
Wow.
I got to the end of the 4th dungeon, but could not beat the boss. I gave up on beating the boss. And I did find both dungeons 5 and 6 and played until I hit a dead end and was like, I think I need to like beat dungeon 4 to go farther, or at least progress through dungeon 4 to go farther.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very impressed.
Hmm.
If I had to guess, I was gonna guess that you didn't pass Dungeon 3.
Hmm.
So I'm very impressed. I think that's very good. Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
Anyone
we
watching
will see.
YouTube is watching your footage, and
That's
I
true. That's true.
don't know how impressed I will be by that. But I think that's pretty damn good. I mean that's a lot. And I believe when I did Dungeon 4, I kind of ended up doing 4 and 5 at the same time. which I think
Mm.
is one of the very cool things about this game because you can do them in any order. I ended
I
up,
did try them, right? I tried
yeah,
5 and
yeah.
6. So,
Yeah, right. Like I ended up not having a key when I needed one, so then I was like, "Oh, let me go out, back out. Oh, here's dungeon 5." I like went around in there, did some stuff, and like got a key from there. I was like, "Well, I have a key. I'll go back to dungeon 4." I did. I just
mhm.
kind of like traded them off with one another, which is not really something any of the other Zelda games
Yeah,
do.
it's so weird. There was a point when Dungeon 4 was the one I got stuck on when I needed to move a block to progress. And actually, it turns out to get the bow, you have to move a block in Dungeon 1. So I was aware that there was like a single room in Dungeon 1 that I had not gotten to and I didn't know how to do it. But I was like, I beat the dungeon. I had bought arrows, and the whole time I was like, I wonder when I'm going to unlock the bow. When you told me I could move the block and I couldn't beat Dungeon 4, I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to wander around and look at everything that I haven't looked at in case I get something. Oh, okay. This room in Dungeon 1 had a bow in it.
Yeah, I mean
But
that's something else. Like you wouldn't even maybe know that
mhm,
generally speaking, every dungeon has an item to get.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, well, Dungeon 1 already gave me the boomerang, right?
I almost missed that. The first time I went in there, by the way, I did not get the boomerang.
Oh,
And
really?
I went back for something and I was like, "Oh shit, I almost just didn't get this."
I I didn't notice. I don't think I noticed. I beat Dungeon 1 and was like, "Cool, done for the day." I picked up the game again and I was like, "I have a boomerang? Where'd that come from?"
I think you have to
Yeah.
kill an enemy for it for I
That's
think.
probably right. Yeah. But yeah, and when I first had the boomerang, I did like I said, I didn't really know how to like I was like, okay, does this hurt enemies? It doesn't really seem to. It doesn't really look like they're getting hurt. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. Like it wasn't until I was messing around for a while and felt like I was just like I can't do anything until I can like safely and consistently go farther, but like my sword takes too many hits to kill all these moblins and they're murdering me with arrows and I can't wander and I don't know what to do. So I closed it and then I read the manual before I opened it again. It was like, oh, the boomerang stuns them. Well, that changes everything. Um,
Let me tell you, even at the end of the game, for me,
mhm.
boomerang is
Yeah.
always my default number 2. That thing is just
Yes.
clutch.
No, I think that one thing that you would probably be mad at me about in my play is that if I'm not actively like, okay, it's time to go farther than I've ever gone before. I got to lock in. I'm very loose with it. I'm just constantly getting hit when I don't need to because I could be like waiting, spam boomerang it. And I'm just like, yeah, just it's fine. I can stun one or two of them. I'll take a hit or two. I'll kill that, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a spring up there. I'll go back and I'm just wandering the map to get I just want to wander the map and get these kills faster because I need to buy a magic key. That was one of the other things after I found the moving block in Dungeon 4 is I got stuck again because I was like, I have no keys. And I went back through the dungeon and I was like, there must be a key in this dungeon. I couldn't fricking find it. So I had to go back out and grind out rupees for to buy a
Yeah.
key from a sales guy. Kind of
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah, that'll happen sometimes. That what you're describing, I could forgive. I think in the overworld when you're just exploring and getting rupees, but if you're in
Mhm,
a dungeon like trying to beat it, then
mhm.
you should take care of yourself.
Yes, in the dungeon, I was usually better about that, although that doesn't mean I played well, and sometimes I screwed up. You know, one, but yes, going back to the something that I was on earlier, where I was like, oh, the boomerang can stun enemies, that changes everything. Um, one of the things that really strikes me about this game is like how much so the a lot of the progression as you said it's very like you have to explore, you have to get something new, you have to figure something out, you have to find something, right? Like as much as you can watch my footage and say, oh, you're just not good at this game, and there is
Hmm.
technical skill, the game rewards technical skill a lot less than it just rewards finding stuff or figuring
Hmm.
stuff out. Um,
Yeah. Certainly less
like
than something like Mario, for instance.
right, 100%. Like, cause when there was a point when I didn't know how the boomerang worked, and it was still very early, right? I hadn't played very much yet, where I was like, oh, is this game just way too fucking hard for me? Can I just like not play it? Cause I can't go anywhere. Um, and then you figure out something new, and now you can. And that very much was the gameplay loop. I get stuck, I go back and look at the manual, or I go explore and find something else, and then I'm stuck, and then I have an idea. What if I did that? And either that works or it doesn't, and if it works, now I'm unstuck. Um,
Hmm.
that I think works very well, and it makes the game very fun from an exploration standpoint. That being said, there is a flip side to it, which is that unlike something like Mario, it is not particularly fun to be stuck. Um,
Hmm.
I guess what I mean by that is, so like if I'm at Mario and I'm like, okay, I know what I have to do here. I just can't do it. But I'm just going to try it 50 times in a row. It's kind of fun, right? Even though I failed 50 times in a row, it's kind of fun. But in Zelda, it's kind of like, okay, I tried something, I failed. That was fun. If I have to try it a second time and I don't have a new idea the second time, it's not that fun. And if I have to try it a third time and I still don't have a new idea, I'm just like, I'm off this. I'm not doing this until I have another idea. Right? Like I don't like it doesn't lend itself um to not having technical skill. Like if you have tried every idea and you are actually doing everything right, you've got all the right weapons, you're using the right strategy, you are just not quite good enough to do it. It's not fun to gain the technical skill to be good enough to do it.
This is fascinating. I'm gonna respond to this.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
always have thought in my head very profound thoughts. One of which
Mhm.
is there are, I think, you can boil down any challenge in a video game into one of two categories. And
Mhm.
you kind of already laid this out. One category is I know what I need to do, I just need the skill to be able to do it.
Mhm.
And the other category is I do not know what to do. What do I do?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
it's the difference between, I could watch a YouTube video of someone doing this 50 times, but that doesn't help me learn to do it.
Mhm.
Or I just needed to look up, oh, it's this door over here, dumbass. I figured
Mhm.
it out. And it's gonna be real interesting when we get to games like Myst and The Secret of Monkey Island and so on, which may happen actually maybe
Mhm.
sooner rather than later. We're gonna be talking about this again soon, I think. Um, where these kinds of games that are these types of puzzle games, we had a week long experience with this game here,
Mhm.
and really like for me, when I run into things like this in games like that, typically my answer is I got to just put the game down and come back tomorrow.
Mhm.
And sometimes you beat your head against the wall for so long that it doesn't work anymore and you're only getting worse and worse as time goes on. You come back the next day and you're like, "Oh, I didn't try using this item with this thing. Oh, that's what it is." And for some people that's just frustrating. For me,
Mhm.
I tend to love those types of games, and I find I'll often it's a real struggle with some games where I'm like, oh, if I could just look up a little hint, but then I know I'm gonna regret it because if I just try a little something else, I can figure it out on my own. And when you do lock into those things on your own, it feels so rewarding.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know where I'm going with
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Well, when we do something like Myst or Monkey Island, we'll have to see because I might have to
it's
be like I just
different.
need a hint because I'm stuck and I need to get farther or else I won't have anything to talk about. Um
Right.
Now I want to be clear. I'm not saying that it's bad that you need to go farther in the game, or that you need to figure something out that you don't know what to do, or that that's something I don't like. I do, in fact, like that, and I think that that is very fun. I think Zelda does that very well. Uh, what I'm
Wow.
what I'm on the fence about is it is it a bad thing that if like okay, let's say I get to a point where I am doing it exactly the way I should, but I am not good enough, right? Like I have in fact found the clues, but I'm not a very good gamer. I'm bad at the game. If
Mm.
I get to this point, the game is not fun anymore, right? Like is that is that a failing of the game that it could still be fun in there? Or alternatively, is that good game design? Because if someone was a little bit better, they might get to a difficult section and say, "Well, it's kind of fun to try it and get better, so I'll just figure out how to do it." Right? I'll just do it until I can do it. And because of this, they miss out on the exploration. They never say, "Oh, I can't do this." Right? Like there is some real value to me putting in one attempt and saying, I don't want to do that again. I got to figure something out because that makes me go explore. That makes me go figure it out.
Hmm.
If I gave it one attempt and said, well, that was still fun. Let's just put in 50 more until I do it perfectly. Right? Am I kind of missing the game? Is it maybe good that it's not fun? I don't know.
There is, I will reference, this is a term coined by Dan Trachtenberg on the Totally Rad show, which is an old
Sure.
video internet show.
I do know that name.
Dan Trachtenberg today is the director of movies like Prey and Predator Badlands.
Yes, I know both his name and the Totally Rad Show name.
Great. He has a term which is frequently used on the DLC podcast, referenced, called the good suck. Specifically referring to video games. I believe, if I recall correctly, the example he gave originally in this old internet episode was in Grand Theft Auto, that it's in like Grand Theft Auto 3 or something, like that it sucks that it takes so long to drive from one end of the map to the other to get somewhere. But it's because of that, you feel like this is a larger world and it's more immersive. And so ultimately it's a good thing. So it's the good suck is like something that is maybe a pain point, a frustration point in a game, but it's there for a reason that actually makes the overall experience more memorable.
Yeah, and I think in this case, I'm thinking deeper than just it improves the experience. I'm thinking it's like a teaching moment. It's supposed to suck because you're not supposed to do it that way. It like the suck is a punishment for doing it the wrong way, right? As opposed to saying, well, you just can't do it that way. It's like, well, you can do it that way, but it sucks, right? So go figure out the way that's fun, kind of
Mm.
thing. And if you do that, it'll be fun. Like going back to our Mario footage, right? There were all of these times where I was just dying over and over, and you were like, "Why don't you get the goddamn fire flower?" And it's like, honestly, I do think part of the reason is because I was still having fun dying 50 times in a row to the same thing. Like it was fun to try to do it. And like the fire flower would have made it easier, but then I wouldn't have been doing that thing, which was fun, right? If it wasn't fun, I would have got the fire flower every time.
Mm. You like to challenge yourself.
I I guess. I mean, yes,
Well, in
that's
certain
true.
ways.
Yes, that's true. But like Mario is fun to challenge yourself, and Zelda is not. Does that? Yeah. Like I feel like at this point it is a fundamental difference in game design.
Now, are you when you're talking about this, you're specifically there because there is really a distinction in this game, a separation between the fast-paced minute-to-minute combat
Mhm.
and the overarching puzzles and figuring out what to do next. Was there I mean they integrate in many ways, but did those feel separate to you, and is there one you enjoyed more than the other?
Um, I think a lot of the puzzles are other like relatively simple. Like once you know that you can move blocks. It's just kind of
Huh.
like, all right, is there a block or not, right? And if you don't know that, then there's not. Um, so I don't know, but the combat felt like a puzzle. Right,
Hmm.
because, it is like, "Oh, here's these guys, and they don't take damage from the front, but they do from the sides. So what are you gonna do about or the back? What are you gonna do about
Hmm.
that? Here are these guys, oh, you can kill them when they're standing still, but not when they're moving. What are you gonna do about that? Oh, there's too many of these guys, and they take too many hits to kill, and they're all shooting projectiles at you. Oh, well, you know, if you time things so that you're bouncing the projectiles off the shield and then you stun them with the boomerang to get multiple hits in, right? Now all of a sudden, it did like on my second play after I had gone to level 1, there were large portions of the overworld where I was like, I could just walk here, but I can't really explore because I can't do anything other than run through and hope I don't get hit. I can't stay here and fight the enemies. But as soon as I realize how to use the shield and realize how to use the boomerang, now all of a sudden I can. So like the combat was like a puzzle in a
Yeah.
sense.
This game, it does a great job with that sense of progression, I think, where
Hmm.
when you first play, even the little Tektites and the Octoroks are deadly to you.
Hmm.
And uh, by the time you're halfway through the game, you're like, those are just a bunch of scrubs. I don't really even care about them. If you have the blue ring, they might not even do any damage to you. It's not even a big deal. And I like the sense of progression that is not like an RPG. It's not just, well, my numbers went up. I mean, yes, you
Hmm.
probably have more hearts. So in a sense, that is just numbers go up, or you got a better sword, which does more damage. Also kind of just numbers go up when you break
Hmm.
it down. But it feels more like I have learned something. It feels more like I actually got better. And I'm at a
Hmm.
different place now than I was when I started this.
That's
Um,
sort of true. I that's sort of true. I mean, to me, it does feel like I have more skills. Like instead of number go up, it's skills go up, right? Like,
yeah.
in order to beat these guys, well, now I can do this and this, right? Didn't used to be able to do this, but now I can do this rather than I just do more damage and take less damage or whatever. And even the sword doing more damage, it's not really number go up, right? Because you're not looking at it and being like, "Oh, well, I used to do 10 damage, now I do 12. Oh, now I do 15. Oh, now I do 18." It's kind of like I used to kill these guys in 2 hits. This sword does times 2 damage, so now I kill them in 1 hit.
Mhm.
Right? The
Its numbers
numbers
go
are like 1
down.
and 2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like, at the start of the game, Lionels, running into
mhm,
those by accident early on they're terrifying. They, like, kill you in 1 hit. They're just death machines. And then by the end, I'm like, "Oh, it's those Lionels. They're kind of fun." And that's just a great feeling. The thing that I really love about this game is that I think goes back to this good suck of the not knowing what to do and being
mhm,
stuck. And
mhm.
also why it's kind of a shame, but this is just the nature of our show, so we
Yes.
just have to live with it, of having to play this game in just 1 week. Because really, the game, I think, is designed for you to pick it up, especially if you're a kid in the 80s. Then you're like, I tried playing today. I just always go back to dungeon 3. I never know what to do. And then like one day your uncle or your
Mhm,
friend is sitting there and they're like, I don't know, what if you just walk around and like accidentally pushes a block and your mind is blown? And
mhm.
like that's the true intended experience of this game that we sort of got like a microcosm of, except just sub in an instruction manual and online hints for real people helping you, or just time of you coming back to it and figuring it out. But I just love how open it is, and
Mhm,
how it really feels like this game gives you the reins more so than certainly any games today. The
mhm,
fact that you open this game up, immediately you get a sword, they don't even say do whatever you want. You just have to do whatever you want and learn that you can do whatever you want. You're just thrown literally into the wilderness. And yeah, of course there is the instruction manual, so that's a big help. But if we're looking at just the game itself, there's no fucking 20-minute tutorial. Nobody tells you, here's the different types of sword attacks. You got to click through 50 dialogue boxes or whatever. It's just so pure. It's just you and the gameplay. And in many ways, it's very RPG-like, even though it's not technically an RPG. People can argue what genre they want to call it, but that's why I liken it so much to Dungeons and Dragons. I get that same feeling of playing a D&D game of like there's no railing here. I mean, of course there is. It's just better disguised in the video game, but it feels like I can do whatever I want. There's this sense of freedom that even modern games don't really do. Like it's a very special kind of feeling to me.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that I do feel like modern games might have moved away from. Just I only see bits and pieces
is
of
maybe
this.
a good modern analog, right? That's like one of the closest.
Even that one has moved so far beyond what it used to be. Like, yes, you still cannot basically play that without going online, but it's like, yeah, my understanding is that when that released, you just like literally couldn't do fucking anything unless you were talking to other people or like looking stuff up. And now you have like recipe books, right? So like if I get wood, I can go look and be like, oh, I could make a crafting table with that. Now that I've got the material, it tells me the recipe and I can just do that. And that's probably for the best that you literally can function.
Right.
But yeah, like most of my experience for this is Pokemon games, and I do not like just how much more they feel the need to explain to you in these games, because it's just like, man, I played Red when I was like 8 years old or some shit. It was fine. I made some dumb mistakes. I didn't. I don't know if I told this story in our episode 0 or not, but I got stuck at the first Pokemon Center because I was a dumb idiot kid who didn't realize they gave you your Pokemon back, and I was like, "How do I make her give me my Pokemon back? I can't go anywhere without them." But like, the point is that like outside of things like that, it's like, yeah, you figured out. It's fine. It's not a problem. You still beat it. It doesn't matter. I don't need to like be forced into an hour of a tutorial, right?
Yeah, if you ever want to humble yourself, if you're ever struggling with an NES game, just remember that 90% of the people playing and beating these games in the 80s were 7.
Yeah.
Anytime people are like, man, NES games were so hard. It's like, yeah, they were little kids who barely knew how to read were beating these games.
I mean, to be fair, I do think that I was probably about as good at video games when I was 7 as I am now. So it's like, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, why not? I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's in many ways, I think this game is stronger because of its lack of telling you where to go and what to do. And later, so A Link to the Past is the Super Nintendo game that pretty much is much closer to this one, but it's on paper improved in pretty much every way. Graphics, sound, story. Things are much more clearly defined. There's more NPCs. It's more obvious where dungeons are. It's objectively probably a better game, but it's not. But I don't think that if you made those improvements to this game, that it would make this game better. A remake of this game where, the old man tells you a hint that makes more sense. People will probably disagree, but to me, that's part of the charm, and that's this feeling I get of it's almost like a Jumanji or something. It feels like this is a game I would imagine finding in your grandparents' attic, and you don't know what it is, and it's this mysterious thing, and there's this feeling when I play it that even having already played it before, I just kind of feel like anything could happen here. If you can burn down a tree or move a statue and there's a hidden staircase, then it's like anything could happen. There could be anything in this game. It's crazy. And another game that came into my head of what modern games do this, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is the one of the most recent, the sort of the new modern iteration of Zelda. Now that game's like fucking 10 years old. But at the time, a lot of people were, and even now say, oh, this is like such a big departure from Zelda because it's this big open world. You can go anywhere. You can do these dungeons in like any order, and you don't really need the items from the dungeons to beat them, and they're sort of non-traditional and all this stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh, this isn't a true Zelda game. And in reality, those games are really going back to the roots of what this is, which is part of what I love about them. And maybe that is the true modern improved version of this, where it's still very open and free, but you're not like completely lost like an idiot.
Yeah, when you brought up Breath of the Wild there, I was thinking like, oh yeah, because like when I think of Breath of the Wild in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's the open world one, right? But like, no, 100%. Very obviously, I think I would not accept any debate on the issue. The first open world Zelda game is this one. It's the first one. Right. Like if somebody was like, this is not an open world game, I'd be like, well, you're wrong. I don't even care to debate that.
Yeah, there is no debating it. I mean, it's plain and simple. The world is open.
I literally walked up. I could have walked into and cleared like the first room of level 5 because I walked up to the 5th dungeon before I found the first one. I could have done the 6th one.
Yeah.
I think 7 and 8 are like hidden or something. It said in the manual those ones are you'll have to find clues or burn down stuff or blow stuff up or something. I did not find those because I wasn't looking for them yet because it wasn't time. But I suspect you can get to those like pretty quick. Like maybe you need the raft or the ladder, but
remember, you could even, if you know where it is or if you find it, you could go into a later dungeon, get the item from it, and just leave. That's what people do.
That's true. Yeah, you could do that.
And that's one of the reasons also, of course, this game has a staying power for speed runs and things, is because there's just, figuring out what's the fastest order to do everything you need to do to finish.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I've heard of NES Zelda speedrunning before. But thinking about how open it is, it must be like actually pretty interesting in terms of like how people route it.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's the final dungeon. I think it's the final one. You can get a key that opens any door, and you just never need a key again. So like theoretically you could go there relatively early on and find that if you can survive, and you never need a key again. There's stuff like that. Yeah.
I think it's said in the manual, maybe this isn't true, but I think it's said in the manual that you need a flute and all of the I think that's for the Death Mountain where Ganon is. Or Darkness Ganon.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole
like
thing.
8, but yeah.
Some of the things in the manual, by the way, are sort of misleading and possibly not right.
No, there's a lot of stuff in there that's vaguely phrased or like kind of weird, but like generally speaking, you can kind of figure it out. Like I did look in the manual to see how my shield works, because I was like, what do I press to get it to work? Because sometimes I'm getting hit with stuff, and I have this shield. And it said, Link can use his shield, which is always by his side. And I was like, maybe it deflects from the side. Nope, doesn't. That's not it. Turns out it just deflects if I'm not actively using a different button and facing head on.
Right.
Right. So trying to press a button to use the shield is the opposite of what you want to do.
Here's a fun one that I learned for the first time. In the manual, there's these enemies called Pole's Voice.
Yeah, the Pol Pots. That's what I was thinking of them as.
Yeah, sure, the Pol Pots. They look like kind of like little bunny rabbits, I guess. They like hop around.
I love them. They're really cute.
In the manual, it says, a ghost with big ears and a weak point. He hates loud noise. So originally, there was a microphone attachment for the NES, and you literally could shout into it to kill them. That
That's great.
I don't think it was even released in the US, and they just never changed the manual. So everybody thought you needed to use the whistle or something. They're like, what the fuck do I do?
I did try bombing them, and I was like, this doesn't seem any more effective than a regular bomb, so oh well, whatever.
Yeah. So there are
That's
some
so
funny things like
good.
that. I'll tell you what. So I'm curious about, it sounds like how would you compare this to the other games we've played so far in terms of the difficulty you had learning and adapting and progressing? And I guess we've kind of already talked about the puzzles. So I guess I'm more interested in, the reaction times, the fighting, dying and stuff like that. Did you find that you were dying all the time and getting mad, or what?
Not to the same okay, so like I did die a decent amount oftentimes cuz I wasn't being careful or cuz I hadn't figured something out yet. Um but like it's really hard to compare the progression here because it like very much so how much I died was dependent on did I know how to use the weapons that I had or did I know what this enemy did. Um there were few if any enemies that were actually difficult to beat one on one, like basically without ever taking damage if I knew right, if I know the right technique to beat them. Right? If I was taking damage, it was either because I need to get like 100 kills so I can afford this stupid thing. And there's 10 enemies on screen and they're all shooting projectiles. And like, I cannot play this slow and steady enough to avoid all of them and get 100. Like, oh my God, just take the damage. I don't care. Oops, I played risky and died. Or like, um, there were the was it dark nuts, those are the ones in the dungeon that you can't hurt from the front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like those guys, I basically, if I because I didn't have the bow, I don't even know if the bow hurts them to be honest with you. But because I didn't really have the bow, like I got it into this loop where I was just like, if I'm not at full health and I can't shoot the thing, I can't fricking hit them without them turning into me and hitting me back, and then I just die to them. Uh, and in rooms where they were crowded, it was a real problem unless I was at full health. And could throw my sword because you can attack at range when you're at full health. But generally speaking, the way I got better at it wasn't to get more like never was the answer you need to be better at this game. Right? The answer was always you need to or like you need to be technically more proficient at this game. The answer was always you need to be using the right item. Like if there's too many of those and you can't do it, you need to use a bomb a couple times to clear it out until you can do it. Or you need to come back when you're at full health so you can attack at range. Or buy a potion so you can be at full health so you can attack at range or something. Um, that kind of thing. It's it's so hard. Because I know I got better. I know I got better at like switching between items. I got better at using individual items, but it never really felt like I was getting better at playing, right? It just felt like, oh, now I know what I'm supposed to do. It's an odd one. And I feel like the boss at the end, because I eventually quit Dungeon 4 without beating it. I would have kept going until I got to a point I was stuck at, to be honest, because I was more than happy to keep going after I beat 4 and do 5 and 6 and search for 7 because I had tried fighting the boss like 3 times and I didn't have any new ideas. You know, if I come back in 3 days, maybe I'd have a new idea.
Right.
Could I do it with what I'm already doing if I played better? Almost certainly, but maybe not. Maybe I'm supposed to do something different, right? I don't know.
Which I don't remember. Which is it? A Gleeok? What boss
yes.
is it?
Yes, I believe it is it is a Gleeok. It has 2 heads, I think, a 2-headed Gleeok.
Yeah, big dragon, which is also awesome because in Breath of the Wild, Gleeoks are like actual massive dragons that fly around and are fucking terrifying. And
Hmm.
here it's this little sprite guy just kind of going doopity doo.
Hmm.
Yeah. They can be rough. Here's what I'll say. All things considered, I mean, this is in many ways. I do think the difficulty of this game mostly really comes from just the puzzling out what to do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
for a game of its time, I found it shockingly forgiving. In
Hmm.
that when you die, you don't lose anything other than
Yeah.
time. You don't lose hearts. You don't lose key. I
Well.
mean, you lose hearts. Your health is lower when you restart. We'll talk about that. But
Hmm.
you don't lose dungeon progress. You don't lose any of your items. There's really the only punishment of dying is now you got to fill your hearts up again
Yeah.
and walk through the dungeon again.
I was surprised, honestly, that
Yeah.
I kept dungeon progress after, including like the map, right? I was like, oh, I'll probably if I don't remember them, I saw the map, so I could like draw it out. And I can remember where the rooms are. Oh, wait, no, I still have the map of the dungeon.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, honestly. It's generous.
Yes. But yeah, at no point did it really feel like skill was in any way stopping me from playing. Like obviously I would have gotten through things faster and better playing with higher skill, but it didn't
Mhm.
feel like that was ever stopping me. And that's also I think part of what makes being stuck so unfun is because you're sitting there and you're like, is it skill that's stopping? Do I just need to be better or am I just dumb?
Mm.
And like cuz it felt like when I quit, it felt like I just needed to be better, but that might not be true. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. And I was saying like, yeah, you probably yes, you either need to be better or go find more hearts or the blue ring. Right? Like
Mhm.
it's like you kind of have a choice. You can be good
Yeah.
or you can get a bunch of stuff. Yeah, the thing that I found most frustrating
Mhm.
overall was just that when you die, you do only start with 3 hearts, even when you're up to like, 20 hearts or however many you get by the end.
Mhm.
And if I died in a dungeon, a lot of times I would just be struggling and trying again. I'm like, oh, I keep dying. And then eventually I would get sick of it. I would save and come back and I would just, well, let me fill up my hearts before I go in. And then
Mhm.
I'd go back in and like just beat it easily because I just
Yeah.
needed those extra hearts to as a cushion.
Yeah, there were multiple stretches where I just spammed the opening room of the dungeon where I was like, I'm gonna kill enemies, and if one of them doesn't drop a heart to get me back up to full before I take damage, I'm killing myself, right, and starting again. And and like that, there were times where I got in that loop, and what I discovered was that the heart drop rate was low enough that if you are actually stuck in that loop where you need to be at full hearts and you can't go on, you should probably backtrack to one of the fairy springs and it'll be
Yeah.
faster.
At a certain point, I feel like if you're starting
Yeah.
in the overworld, at least you just go to a ferry first. Like,
Oh yeah, 100%. But like also even in the dungeon, like once I realized, oh, I don't lose dungeon progress for leaving the dungeon because I thought that might happen. It's just like no, literally just you started off the dungeon not at max hearts, go literally leave.
mhm.
Go to the ferry and come back. Right?
Which
It'll be
does
yeah.
it's nice, but it also just feels like, well, if that's the case, then there really is no reason to start you with 3 hearts. It really is just
Mhm.
a time punishment, which does kind of suck. Like I'd prefer just starting with full hearts, or even like in the normal one you have 3 or you start with 3 and hearts total.
Mhm.
Maybe later on, like you start with 2 less or 3 less than your max or something. But to
Mhm.
start from only 3 and it takes so long to get back up to full, that is one thing that I'm like, I don't really think this adds to the game. I think if you took that
Yeah.
out, it wouldn't make the game worse. It would just save you
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so this was a mechanic that I also am not a huge fan of is Link throwing his sword at full health.
Hmm.
I was a much less of a big fan of it when I was first starting and I wasn't as good with like the boomerang techniques because when I was first starting there were a lot of enemies where I was just like if I can throw my sword, I can beat them easily without taking damage. if I cannot throw my sword, I can't beat them without dying. So if I ever take even one single point of damage, I have to backtrack to the fairy spring to go
You
get
know
full
what
hearts.
it's very analogous to the fire flower in Mario. That's like exactly how I think of the fire flower.
Well, so what eventually, and I did not, but here's the thing, I did not like this because I was just like, the difference in power level between being at full hearts and taking even 1 point of damage is,
Mhm.
I don't like it because it's so punishing to playing even, it's like, I don't like this idea that's like, you either play it exactly perfectly or fuck it, you're done, new attempt, right? One tiny mistake, I took one hit of damage, fuck it, new attempt, start over, right? I don't like that. That was not a fun game loop. Um, to have to do it perfectly. Now, I will say, as I got better at using other strategies, I did get to a point where I was like, all right, I can function perfectly fine without throwing my sword, and I do not like, because it's very hard, even when for me, not being as good. Like you're saying, you're totally fine as long as you can throw your sword. Even when I am being careful, it is hard not to accidentally take a point of damage here
Oh
or
yeah,
there.
for sure, for sure.
So the
I'm yeah,
vast majority of the time I cannot throw my sword. So I
yeah,
need to be able to function like that. And
yeah.
it was mostly just irritating when I ran into an enemy that I couldn't deal with because it would be like, okay, well, I'm going to have to go buy potions. And if I've taken even half a heart of damage, I have to use my potion, which I can only carry one
Well,
of,
that's
which,
crazy.
right, because I can't beat this enemy unless I can throw the thing. And
Man.
usually if that was the case, it meant that I hadn't figured out the better way to do it yet. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
when there were times where I was like, if I could just get here without having any damage on me, I could progress,
That just
you
feels
know?
so bad to me. I
Yeah.
could never essentially spend 30 plus
Hmm.
rupees to heal half to
Oh yeah.
heart.
No, like, well, yeah,
That's fucked up, man.
exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I didn't want to do, like, if I got to that point and I took half a point of heart, I usually would just say, I'm leaving and going and getting the fairy. I don't want to grind out for another freaking potion, right? I'm gonna use this potion when I'm almost dead, because that's faster. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't like when I was stuck in loops like that. And when you are, especially early on, when I was stuck in loops like that and I was very reliant on being able to throw my sword, it was kind of like, do I hate this game? Does this game just suck because of this mechanic? Like, maybe you shouldn't be able to throw your sword when you're at like one heart or something. Or maybe you just shouldn't. Like, there was a point where I was like, I think this game would be better if you couldn't throw your sword at all. Right, rather than punishing you forever playing not perfectly. And like I said, you get over that the moment you realize, oh, I don't have to throw my sword to beat that enemy. There's a better way to do it. But, you know.
Yeah, this is very fascinating because that's
Mhm.
definitely yes, that's definitely a mindset of a person who is bad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hard for me that I just never like I think you need to get to a point, which it sounds like maybe you did, where
Mhm.
you think of the sword throwing is really just it's a bonus. It's
Yes.
that's nice if I have it, but you can't rely on it.
Yes.
And there's definitely some rooms where it's like, oh my God, thank God I have this. This makes it so much easier. But I'm pretty much always expecting like, if I'm lucky, I'll get to have full health for like 2 rooms in a dungeon. It's gonna leave sooner than that, though. I
Mhm.
bet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
how
yeah.
it
But
is.
but that would be the point of the potion, is to say like it needs to be that room. That's the one room it's got to be. All the other ones I don't need it, but that one I need
Mm,
it, or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, this was also part of the discovery of the game. Is that, especially, you come into it and you're like, I'm pretty good at video games, so if I can't do it without throwing my sword, probably or like if I that probably I'm not doing it right. Whereas I'm kind of looking at it and being like, if I can't do it without throwing my sword, maybe everyone in the world but me could do it without throwing their sword, and I'm just bad and this game is too hard for me. Like, I don't know. That could be the case. Maybe I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not clear to me that there's something I'm missing. But I
Yeah.
did figure it out.
Yeah. Another thing that also does really annoy me in the same way of having to spend time getting hearts is specifically bombs. There's a couple points where
Mm.
I think especially the later dungeons, maybe not as much in the ones you played, there are like dungeons 7 and 8 maybe. There's some parts where you have to use a bomb almost in every other room you go into.
Mm.
And if you run out, there was a point where I was just needed bombs. And I was like, please, I know there's nowhere I can go. I know I need to bomb a wall. I'm killing every enemy. Nobody's dropping a fucking bomb. Finally, I just had to quit, go out, grind rupees, buy some bombs. And then, of course, I would go back in and like the first enemy would drop one. And I'd be like, fuck you,
Mm.
game. But that these are things that later Zeldas would never do, right? Like
Mm.
a modern Zelda, you always start with rupees, or sorry, with full hearts. And if there's a room that needs a bomb, you will be able to find bombs in it. Like there's no way they will ever leave you bombless.
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, that's interesting. The first thing I ever bought was a bomb, but what I did find was that I was nearly always topped off on bombs. And I think part of the reason for this was because I did often just be like, well, what I need to do is I haven't checked out, I don't know what I'm doing here. So maybe what I need to do is go check out that forest. Or I need to, I need to go up through that graveyard, or I need to go over. And it turns out you don't, but like to do what I'm trying to do. But I wandered the entire map so many times, or like I just to be safe, I want to buy a healing potion, like a double healing potion. And that's 68 rupees, and I have none. So I'm just going to
Mm.
wander the map until I've killed enough enemies to have 68 rupees. And enemies drop bombs a lot, it turns out, especially if you're just going around killing everything.
Mm.
So I was nearly always topped off, right?
I
Like
feel
there
like
were
it's
times.
I don't know what
Mhm.
the actual odds are. I feel like that's not my
Mm.
experience. I feel like it's relatively rare. And like I wonder if it is just a pure chance thing.
Uh, So, based on what I remember from the manual, the drop rates on different enemies are not the same. So, I think you're
Mm.
more likely to get bombs from like blue Octoroks, for example, and you like can't
Huh.
get them from red Octoroks. So
Huh.
like if you're killing more like second level enemies, you might be getting more bombs. So if you're just going around like, yeah, I'm going to clear out everything on the screen, and a lot of these screens that have lots of enemies have lots of second level. I don't know. I think there were one or two times where I was worried because I was like, I'm using my last bomb. I hope I don't need one. And then very quickly, I was just like, oh, I got all of them again.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's also like in this later dungeon, one in
Hmm.
particular, there's like a room with 3 Dodongos. So like you
Mm.
got to use your bombs on them, and then you got to keep bombing walls. And it's like, love
Yes, I
bombs.
never was in a place where I needed like more than one bomb if I was playing well, right? It would just be like I got to bomb that Dodongo, and I'm not very good at placing this bomb, so I needed like three for him or something, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do. That's also, by the way, I like that. That's a feature of the game is that I think this is true. Every dungeon has a mini boss that is the last dungeon's main boss,
Mm,
which I think is just a fun way of being like that guy was the king of that dungeon, and here he's just a stop along the way. It's like,
yeah.
oh, what's going to be at the end then? I think that's a kind of a cool way to make you really,
Hmm.
again, feel your progression of getting better at the game.
Yeah. And in this case it does make sense because, it's not a number go up RPG, so you don't have to make sure that your number has gone up to the point where that's a mini boss. It's literally just figure out how to beat it. Well, now you know how to beat it. It shouldn't be that hard. It was only hard because you didn't know how to
Mm,
beat it.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many things. I mean, there's a lot of things we could keep talking about that we haven't touched on. The candles, the
Hmm.
the whistle, the magic wand, which I assume you didn't find.
I did not find the magic wand. At that was another thing I kind of didn't like was the candle, I guess because it lights up the place.
Mm,
Unless I'm missing something, you could only use it once when you were on a screen.
correct. Yes,
So,
there's a yes.
yeah.
Later on, you get a red candle, or sorry,
Ah,
one of the candles is better than the other one. Yeah.
okay. Well, basically, what I mean by this is, let's say there are seven trees on a screen, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I think one of these might have something under it. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
leave and re-enter seven times and remember which ones you
Yeah.
already did.
So that is, I think the red candle is, by the point you get it, is the game's way of saying now you should try burning every tree because it's less
Okay, okay.
annoying. And I think when you have the blue one, they're like, you don't really need to do that yet.
That's
But
fair, yeah,
yes,
because I did not do that very much because it sucked. So, I mean, here it
yeah,
is again. If it sucks to do it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
right. Yeah, that is what that is. I think the two enemies I hate the most.
Mm.
I mean, dark nuts are pretty annoying especially when there's a bunch of them in a room. I also hate
Hmm.
likes for stealing your shield, but at least I can kind of deal with them if I'm careful.
Hmm.
Um, I think my least favorite enemy by far are bubbles.
Bubbles.
I don't know how many of these you encountered. Maybe you didn't even see them yet.
I don't know that I
They're
did. I don't even
they're
remember
like
them from the manual. Are they actually called bubbles or do they have a different
yes,
name?
they are called
Eh.
bubbles. They are little orange circles that just kind of randomly bounce around the room.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I didn't look this up. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think they're killable. They don't in rooms where enemies drop a key. If you kill them all, they don't need to be killed for the key to drop. For instance,
Hmm.
so they move around so sporadically. I can never predict it. And after they touch you, you can't use your sword for 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh, I
And
did see these. I thought they were just traps. I didn't think of them as enemies.
yeah, those are bubbles. They're kind of like the Potaboos of Zelda,
Oh,
and
I
they're
see it
just
now. I see it now. Okay.
yeah, they're a huge pain in the ass. I guess again, similar to the same reason for like my most hated enemies in Mario. Anything that I can't predict where you're going next really annoys me. I want to be able to like
Mm.
predict and react to what I think you're going to do, and they're just I'm going left, I'm going right, I'm going up, I'm going down. Like I don't know, you're going to hit me, I hate you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had issues with those at first because I was like, "Oh God, these are insane," because I have to avoid these things. But then when I realized they didn't actually damage me, they were just making it so that I couldn't attack. I was kind of like, "Oh, well, that's not a big deal then," because then I just let them hit me
do they not
unless
damage you?
I
I
was
thought they
not taking
did.
damage. I was still able to throw my sword after getting hit by them.
Huh? I guess I just assumed.
Yeah, I mean that. See, this
Well,
is the problem: is
and
that you could
also
avoid them. You weren't getting hit by them.
right, and also when they're in a room with like 12 other enemies,
Yes.
it's like I don't know what's making me die, but I hate them all.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, because at first it was a problem, but eventually, yes, I was just like, listen, if I am near an enemy in one of these, it's very hard to avoid them, so I need to be running away. But if none of them are near me, then I can attack freely. And if I get hit by them, it's not I can just let them hit me. Who cares? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter as long as I'm not actively needing to attack.
The other things I don't think you saw are called whiz robes.
I am aware of whiz robes from my role playing days.
As soon as you get into Dungeon 6, man, they are so irritating. I mean, that's why there's like this huge spike when you get in there.
Yeah, I did fight some. They were in like room 1 or 2 of Dungeon
Okay.
6. I played enough of
Yeah.
Dungeon 6 to get stuck, and I was like, here they are, the whiz robes.
The
Sure
blue
do do a lot
ones
of
are the
damage.
worst. They just jump around and shoot shit
Hmm.
at you. I fucking hate them.
Yes, I that was a thing where I was like, I feel like you might actually need a ring for this because I was going in there being like, all right, I can see the strat by which you can beat these guys without taking damage, but like, man, is it hard. So it feels like there is probably a better way, and since they were practically two-shotting me, I think the ring might be the better way at
Like
that
I
point.
said, that was the point. I can't remember if I had the ring already, but that was the point where I went out to find all the heart containers so that I could get the better sword because I was like, I just can't. I
Mm.
need this because this is too annoying. The second better sword, I should say, not just the
Mhm.
white one,
Right,
the magic
right, right.
one. I also think for a game this old, it still looks and sounds pretty good. Like the graphic, I think partially helped by the theme of the world, where I get this feeling that it feels desolate and abandoned. And of course, it's because of the hardware limitations that you don't go to villages and you just see like one person in a cave. But I think that
Mhm.
actually works to the game's advantage. It feels like you're exploring this world with a history to it, that this place has existed for centuries. And why is everyone living in caves? And why it feels like you're in these ruins? What happened here? I really like that sensation that's very immersive and makes it fun to explore. And I feel like, like I said, for an NES game, I don't play this and go like, ugh, looks like shit.
Mhm.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and this
And the
is another
music.
game with an
Yeah.
iconic soundtrack. Great,
Yeah.
great soundtrack. And that the soundtrack, I didn't think of this, but like because I think of that as the Zelda theme, right? That's the yeah,
Mhm.
it's the Zelda music. It's good. Everyone likes the Zelda music. But like a lot of it does actually fit a desolate world pretty well. Like some of the
Mm.
slower parts of the theme, not the like do 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 do, but like the slower parts, yeah, they do feel, and especially in that old NES, whatever you call it, MIDI or chip tune or whatever the hell they're using on an NES. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's too
One of
old for
those.
my too old for me. But in that soundscape, yeah, it does work for that.
Yeah, I mean it's almost I almost skipped right over it because it just seems so obvious, but
Hmm.
things like the sound of getting an item that are
Hmm.
just it's just audio perfection. The da 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 or the solving a puzzle and doo 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 are just so simple, but that they've never changed that.
Yeah.
They did it and they're like that's it. That's the one. We did it.
Yeah, I was thinking that like this is modern. Those are the modern tunes. They use those exact. They have not changed that at all. Like that is certainly not true for Pokemon, right? They changed a lot of their sound effects and their music. Like I mean, even Mario, yes, it still uses its jingles, but it's got new stuff. But like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it just
this feels like one of the most unchanged musical
mhm.
thing like series or whatever. I don't know
It
what I'm trying to say.
demonstrates just how important sound is in a game.
Mhm.
That if you imagine moving a block and a staircase just appears, you're like, oh, cool, I guess. But you
Mhm.
combine that with da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and it unlocks something in your brain. The serotonin just juices out. Like, yes, that's the game telling me good job. You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. No, I remember I was like at your place and I opened I was in the phone app the Pokemon TCG Pocket game
Mm,
and I like opened my daily pack
mm.
and you got mad cuz I didn't have sound effects on and I was like the reason is because the sound effects in this game are what make it addictive. I don't want to actually be addicted to this game and spend money on it. that's
Yeah.
that's how you avoid that is you turn off the sound.
Yeah, that's like I was addicted to the Codenames app for a long time, and I wouldn't like if I was somewhere I had to play and my phone was muted. I was like, "This sucks." I wouldn't even play it. I couldn't stand not hearing the little bloops and clicks and things. And you're talking about not a series that hasn't changed much in terms of its music. It's also just overall astonishing how much they got the formula of these games down right from the jump.
Mhm.
Pretty much everything is here. Overworld, dungeons, items, rupees, enemies. Like, yes, it gets more
Rubies.
complicated. It gets more elaborate. The stories get more involved, things like that. But by and large, it it hasn't changed. I mean, Breath of the
Mhm.
Wild, there's things change here and there, and there's offshoots that are different, but this formula just worked so well, and maybe that's part of why it has aged well, in my opinion. It doesn't feel dated because they never changed it. If you've played Ocarina of Time, if you played Wind Waker, if you played Skyward Sword, then you go back to play this one, you're like, yeah, this is right. This is what it is. This is Zelda. They got it.
Mhm.
They did it. Kind of like even Mario. Again,
Mhm.
Mario games change a lot from game to game. And
Yeah.
that's true for Zelda too, but like really a lot of it's set in stone right here. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like even just like the one time you made me play Mario 64, and it's
Yeah.
just another platformer where you beat Bowser. it is still very different. Like, very different, right? Like, you know what you don't do in the original Mario is pick up bombs or bombs. You don't
Right.
pick up bombs. That doesn't happen,
Yeah.
right? But Link's got his boomerang. He's got his
Now,
bombs.
now there is one big exception, which is Zelda 2. I
Hmm.
don't know if you know anything about Zelda 2.
I don't.
We will be playing it this season, and
Ooh.
that is very different in a certain ways. It's really the third Zelda game that was like, okay, let's take that NES game and perfect it, and that became the standard going forward. But we'll talk about that later on.
Mhm.
I think I'm ready to do my IGN ratings. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. We could do IGN ratings.
So this is so far. I mean, I don't know. I'm very. I'll let you take the floor. Give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, I don't. I've been wondering what I'm going to give this. This is a tough one for me because I feel like if I were to rate this purely based on my experience this week and only this week, it would probably get a lower score than it deserves because I like felt very strongly at a lot of different points, including the point when I turned it off, that this game has done a huge disservice by only being played for a week and not being played
Mm-hmm.
for a long period of time. Because, it's like I turned it off because I was frustrated and didn't know where I was going to go. And I was like, all right, I give up. And that would go away in a day or two or three, you know? And then I would hit that point again and it would go away again. And then I would hit it again and it would go away again. And I feel like that doesn't really stop until you beat it. And at no point did I ever want to stop playing this game except when I stopped. Right? So like until I beat it, I'm going to be like I'm always going to end on a sour note. You know what I mean? And so much of it like I think it would be a lot more fun if I just had more time to live in it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So yes, as you said, the music is incredible. It's really good. I I like all the little guys and enemies. This is all really
Oh
important.
yeah.
Remember, Mario's getting points for Goombas and the
Oh
the
yeah.
the, the ringing, and even Pac-Man got its points for having the little.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I love my Pol Pots. I love my Moblins. I
You
love the
got Papa P
Tektites and the
hats.
Octoroks. Yeah, these are all good. They're great. I like them. I like the fact. I like the feeling of exploration. I like.
Feels like you're
I just.
you're struggling to. You don't want to be too harsh on it because
Yeah.
I think you're
So,
seeing the larger picture, but you're trying to square that with your own experience.
right. Well, I mean, okay. So my experience is good. I did very much enjoy playing it, and I would want to play it more, which is a great place to be. Um.
Wow,
And
that's
I
huge.
like all the little guys in it, which is a great place to be. So the floor on this is very high, right? Like if I'm giving Tetris an 8.8, like under no circumstances could this be less than like 8.5, like at minimum.
Wow, wow,
That's what I think as a
wow.
starting point. The problem is that so much of it, I just feel like if I played it more, I would like it more. And I don't know if I can give I don't want to speculate points, you know what I mean?
Listen, I give it what you feel you need to give it. I think if at any point you ever went back and played more of
Mhm.
it, you're allowed to reassess. You're
Mhm.
allowed to change your
Mhm.
score.
Mhm. Yes. I mean, here the primary, is it better than Mario? Do I like it better than Mario? The one difference between this and Mario is that I like failing at Mario and I don't like failing at this. And that is a big difference. Let's see here.
Put the listeners out of their misery.
Maybe you can just edit this down. I think I'm gonna tie this with Mario. I'm gonna make this a 9.0 as well.
Wow.
And I think it could go higher if I played more, but maybe it wouldn't.
That's beautiful. I honestly, we were talking during the week about you struggling to progress, and I really thought that you might have come in and just hated this game.
Yes. Well, because this is the problem. We only talk about it when I get stuck, and I do hate this game when I get stuck. It's not like Mario where I love it when I get stuck. I hate it when I'm stuck. But then the moment I'm unstuck, I love it until I get stuck again.
Well, this is great. I mean, this fills my hearts all the way up. A 9.0 from Will. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you. This game is 40 years old. 41 years old at the time of this recording.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Can't be that old. It's only mid-80s.
It's older than us.
That can't be right.
It's right. It's right. Don't do the math. It's right.
Fuck.
Not to date the podcast too much, but at the time of this recording, I have a glut of video games I could be playing. Right now, I am knee deep in what I call the 3Ds. Donkey Kong Bonanza, Death Stranding 2, and Deltarune. Okay.
That's the 3Ds. That's what they're called.
And I have been...
Personally, I prefer 2D.
Right, going. I get that. I'm champing at the bit to play this game and to play those games. And at the start of this week, like I said, I had beaten NES Zelda before, which I thought was a pretty big accomplishment for me when I did that back in the day. Of course, I love Zelda. I know it's a classic. I know it's a game that I love. But still, I was like, man, I want to play Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like I have to sit down and kind of make myself play this old game. All right, okay, whatever. It's not as fun and flashy and new. And I ended up like, if I wasn't playing Zelda this week, I was thinking about Zelda. I ended up in my free time sitting down more often than not to choosing to play Zelda over my other games. I stayed up one night until like 4 a.m. playing Zelda, not because I needed footage for the show or anything, because I was like, let me just do one more dungeon. And I was like, oh, well, now I got this item. Oh, let me go to the next place. Let me just see if I can do this one more dungeon. And the fact that this game has that kind of power 40 years later, that I can still sit down and it just captures this part of my imagination that almost no other game does, that I think I've already pretty much laid out in this episode, but I'll repeat myself, of just this feeling that it's a big mysterious adventure where anything can happen. And it really feels like a capital A adventure. And there's certainly things about it that I am not in love with, mainly, like I said, just the amount of time sinking there is in terms of getting yourself back up to full health or whatever, or grinding for rupees and stuff like that. But even that, I'm like, it's part of it. It's just kind of part of the tapestry of this game. And especially taking into account how much fun I still have with it now, just on a pure fun level. And then squaring that with the level of influence and the fact that here we have essentially a near complete, if primitive, version of my favorite game series of all time. Actually, I could give it like a 9.8 or a 9.9 or something if I was being real fucky with it, but I'm not gonna. It's a goddamn 10 all freaking day, my brothers. I can't deny it. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a goddamn 10.
Nobody knows what 10 all day, my brothers, means.
And people can, and again, just like the original Mario, this is not my favorite Zelda game. Probably not even in my top 5. But it's just so, I love the purity of it. I'm all about purity in many areas of our lives.
Right, in many, many areas, yes.
And you can accuse me of being nostalgic or a fanboy, but if you're doing that, then you better lay those same accusations at the doorsteps of say, Game Informer who listed it at number 1 of their top 100 games of all time, or EGM, who put it at number 13, and later on number 5, and then all these other on and on. It's not just me. Everybody loves this game. I mean, it was so revolutionary for its time. It's so freaking crazy that they made this game when you put it next to the other types of games that were being made in 1986 or even 1984, even when they were doing this. I mean, it's insane how ahead of its time this game is. I just can't. It's just, what can you do? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. I've said my piece.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people could give you shit about giving so many games 10 out of 10s. But like, first of all, these are all classics. But like, also, every game you've given a 10 out of 10 so far is a game that I would play again, right? As not a gamer. This one's a little bit different in the sense that, like, I could just pick up Mario and be like, can I beat this level? Nope, lol. Whereas I would not pick up Zelda again unless I had intention to try to beat it again, right? Like, this would be a time sink, but I would play this. I would continue to play this. If you were like, next week you got to finish Zelda, I'd be like, all right, I guess that's next week. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, really? Again?
Yeah.
This is something. That means something.
That means something. That means something. I'll tell you what I've never done and probably will never do unless maybe we'll do it in a stream one day if the people demand it, is the second quest. When you beat the game, you unlock the second quest, which is a remixed version of the game where the items and dungeon entrances are different. And it's like, I have never really looked into it, but it's much, much more difficult and like intentionally, if you thought the first quest was cryptic, they like upped it by 10 to be more annoying to do. But that's all. That's another thing is like, that's a new game plus.
Yeah. I didn't even realize they had that.
Yeah. Like no games did that back then. The amount of value this one game had for that time compared to like fucking the home version of Pac-Man or whatever the fuck you were buying. It's mind-boggling. I also never got the power bracelet. I don't even know where it is. You don't need it. I just never got it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I figured if I needed it, it would be in a dungeon. If I didn't, maybe I don't know.
All right, I got all fired up, man. I've just been real amped about this game all week. It's fucking classic. Do you want to read some emails?
Sure. I feel like you're always skipping the reviews from the time, but we can read emails if they're boring.
Yeah, well, it's just honestly most of these are like, yeah, everybody loved it.
All right. I was all excited to react when we started the podcast, but so far you've been like, no, they all suck.
All right, listen.
All right, let's do emails. Do we actually have more emails?
Well, technically.
Look at how popular they are.
Going forward, I'll make a vow now to look up reviews more closely. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I need you to read off the one guy who thought it was shit, so we can make fun of him.
Right. We only have one email. We did have a couple of Patreon comments, which I'm like, I don't know that we need to read them, but since it's early in the show, I thought I'd just remind people that's another place. If you don't want to comment on YouTube, if you're following us on Patreon, right now it's free. You'll just get updates about our new episodes, and you can go there and chat with people. Spam Viking recommended a video about Pac-Man, the history of Pac-Man. Sean was talking about playing Pac-Man at Pizza Village 3.
Wow.
Which I guess is a place that had a Pac-Man machine. And also said that we were talking about maze games. Apparently there's the earliest maze game, Sean says, is an Atari game from 1973 called Gotcha, where one player runs around a maze and the other one tries to catch them.
That's pretty cool.
But the real meat this week in the email section is a new email that comes from one of our good friends, Steven.
Good is an overstatement, but
Isn't it amazing that so far every episode we've had, except for the first one, we've had an email from a different previous listener of our other podcast. It's like we didn't plan this. It's just happened that way.
everyone loves us. They can't get enough.
And they're taking turns. Steven has thoughts on Zelda and other issues. So Steven wrote in advance, that's something you can do if you want to like really be topical.
True.
Steven writes, "Hey bad boys." It's fine. I don't know that that's our official title, but it's fine. Time to jump on the bandwagon.
Boys. I like it.
What are you going to do? As yet another returning listener from your previous podcast with my own list of recommendations. Here it is. 1. Resident Evil 4. With that out of the way, let's talk about Zelda. I've played a ton of Super Mario Brothers and Tetris throughout my life, and I've played as much Pac-Man as I wanted to, which was almost none. So The Legend of Zelda is the first game you've played that I actually don't have any experience with. I'm a big Zelda fan. I've just never gone back and played the original. Having done so, I gotta say, I don't really like it. From a historical perspective, I'm impressed that they got like 80% of the way there on their first attempt. And I'm even more impressed that they got 100% of the way there in A Link to the Past / Link's Awakening, given the enormous detour they took with Zelda 2. But from a gameplay experience, I found it very frustrating, and that was with a strategy guide and save states. I can't imagine what a pain it was to try to decipher things from playground rumors back in the 80s, or having to restart the entire dungeon with 3 hearts just to give another shot at a room where there are so many enemies that the game lags, each one doing 2 hearts of damage per hit. I'm also not a fan of the game's structure, where many of the items you need are bought from shops rather than found in dungeons, and many of the dungeon items have unclear utility. You can do the dungeons out of order to a degree, but if you do, then you might get most of the way through only to find you don't have the item you need, and you have no guarantee that you'll find it by doing the dungeons in order. Also, even with the dungeon map and compass, there were so many times where I needed the guide to tell me there was a breakable wall or which block I needed to push to make the path forward appear. And while you can deal with the blocks with trial and error and pattern recognition, the game doesn't give you nearly enough bombs to be wasting them trying to see what walls might be breakable. Resource scarcity was an annoyance in general. Heals were hard to come by unless I wanted to spend 70 rupees on potions, and rupees were hard to come by when I needed to spend them on items that were necessary for progression. I ended up missing out on the blue ring, an item that halves the damage you take, because it was 250 rupees, and I never had that much to spare. Although I'm sure if I was a kid in 1986, I would have been willing to go through that grind, or I would have accumulated more money just from endlessly dying on the same enemies. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and seeing whether you felt the same as I did. Keep up the good work, Steven. Then there's some postscripts, which I'll maybe do in a minute, but
yeah, so it's interesting because most of those thoughts are thoughts that I did have while playing the game. I feel like potentially not liking it is a consequence of saying, I want to beat this game this week, right? As opposed to saying, I have a problem because, oh my God, I want to do that stupid, I won't necessarily get the item I need if I do the dungeons in order. Well, that's okay. Just spend an hour wandering around the map. Okay, but you can't just be spending an hour wandering around the map. I've got to beat this week. Right? But if you were playing this for 6 months on and off, maybe you did find them. I think a lot of I didn't get to a point where I needed an item for a dungeon that wasn't in a previous dungeon, and it does say at the top of the level, like, what the dungeon is. Yes, the rupee grind was annoying, but again, it would have been less annoying if I could have put the game down and come back to it in 2 days, before I did it, to be honest. Yeah, I think that is a major component to that.
I think a lot of it comes down to how much do you value the joy of discovery after a period of frustration. And if like for me, that's worth it. It's the feeling I get coming back and going, oh, that's where it was, is worth the hour of, I don't fucking know what to do. And for some people, maybe it's not. I don't disagree with pretty much anything Steven said here. I think I said most of this in our episode. I found most of these things frustrating. I just think it's worth it in the end. As to the grinding thing, yeah, that is annoying. But personally, I just put a podcast on and kill enemies for like 20 minutes, and I get the rupees and I buy the ring and I move on. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that bad.
Even the grinding was not that bad until I kind of had the entire map memorized. Generally, what I found with this is, and I guess I've already been over this, but it's like as long as I am seeing something new, and that new thing could be I've seen this stage before, but I didn't quite remember where it is, so now I've seen it in a place where I know where it is. As long as I'm seeing something new, I'm loving it. I think another part of it is also just the joy of exploration, like less so than like I figured it out and now I have that joy. It's like, oh, this is cool. Look what's over here. Ooh, look what's over there. Oh man. And that's fun even if it's aimless. Maybe it's actually probably more fun if it's aimless, right? If I have an aim and I'm wandering, then that sucks. Right? I want to be going to that
Right.
goal. Um, Again, say like making your primary goal beating it this week, I think could be hindering the enjoyment of the game. And I'm also giving this game a lot of credit for like the song, the dodongos, the octoroks, which like if you're just like, yeah, I mean, of course it's going to have the song and the dodongos and the octoroks. I don't know. Maybe it's not as good.
Yeah. I get it. I get
Mhm.
both perspectives. You have to be willing to give yourself into this. I think in some way you have to be able to put yourself in the mindset of just being a kid in 1986.
Yes. Yeah, and as much as my enjoyment of the game is hurt by having to spend a week on it, it is also helped by being like, yeah, I'm bad at games. I don't have to finish. It's not expected that I'm good enough to do that. So I just will do whatever.
Less pressure.
Yeah, it's much more freeform, which is what I think this game is. I think the game gets worse if you try to make it very progression oriented.
Steven also says, P.S. I just need to share the way the Zelda guide I used opened. He copy and pasted. I assume this is from GameFAQs, but he doesn't give a link to a source. It's apparently the beginning of this FAQ says, this FAQ and all 25 other of my FAQ/walkthroughs are now dedicated to the over 6,000 innocent people killed in the World Trade Center and Pentagon terrorist attacks in New York City, New York, and Washington, D.C. on September 11th, 2001. To all of the innocent working people and FDNY firemen, as well as other emergency workers, you will always be remembered. We won't stop until we bring these criminals to justice. Your deaths were not in vain. God bless America. Death to all terrorists of all races everywhere. God bless America.
That is so good.
Name names, Steven. I want to know who this is. Who is this?
This is great.
And then furthermore, Steven writes, PPS, I do actually have more games to recommend, although I'll be sparing since I want to see how you guys actually tackle long games before I dump a bunch of them on your plate. A few he recommends here. The 1995 point-and-click game Harlan L. adaptation of Harlan L. Since I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Not something that will challenge Will's gaming skills, but definitely a very interesting game and very ahead of its time in terms of its writing. I'm not sure if I believe that's probably on our list already because I have played that game and it is quite fascinating.
Not only am I almost positive it's on the list, I'm like 30% positive Gwen suggested it and it was already on the list.
So don't worry, folks. We hear you loud and clear. I have no mouth and I must scream is a lot.
I might be mistaken about that, though.
He also says, second, the 2010 jetpack-based third-person shooter Dark Void.
So you don't know this.
I do not know this.
For the listeners, I know Steven IRL.
Right.
Steven will not shut the fuck up about Dark Void. And he's always like, the measure of a good video game podcast or show is whether or not they talk about Dark Void. Fuck off.
That is, he literally says that in the next sentence as well.
Go fuck yourself, Steven.
We will
Anyway, you can
never
continue.
we will never talk about Dark Void. I can promise you that. Third, 1996 video game Creatures, a game about raising and breeding creatures called Norns. He says it feels like the kind of game you'd make if you were trying to make a version of the evolution game from the Elemist Chronicles while being constrained by 1990s computer technology. And last, Gwen's email from a few weeks back got me thinking about what the video game equivalent of the Zapruder film would be. I didn't get anywhere, but whatever game it is, you should play it. In the meantime, give The Beginner's Guide a try. That one I am somewhat familiar with. We will put these games on our list. I mean, I know what the video game equivalent of the Zapruder game is. What's that game? I mean film. It's JFK Reloaded. That should be on our list. You know about JFK Reloaded?
I don't.
It's a controversial game in which you assassinate JFK.
Yeah, I was not shocked when you said controversial, to be honest with you.
It simulates like you're the sniper and you like try different angles and like shoot him. I mean, that's kind of like, how did you not come up with that? Right? That's right there. Anyway, thanks, Steven. If anyone else has game recommendations or thoughts about Zelda or anything else, or just a question about video games, maybe just are curious about something else, email us, badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. It's a big week and it's a big game, which is why I prepared a special treat for us before we say goodbye.
Oh man, are we back? Are we back?
This week we are.
Oh, we're so back, boys.
All right, everybody, put your green hats on and get your swords ready.
Well, my sword is ready.
Listen to this. It's like Back to the Future. You don't have to be powerful to beat the boss. You just need to practice fighting and hit weak spots. You don't gain experience or level up. This just isn't an RPG. You gotta train until you're up to snuff. You don't have to be rich to save the girl, to stop getting from trying to rule the world. Ain't no medicinal brew you need to purchase and drink. You just need an extra heart for your Link. Zelda. You got to find that secret dungeon. If you want to try force peace, you got to be cool and cunning and know how to find a key. Yeah, there's an old man you'll want to see hiding inside a grave. He'll help you beat the enemies. Sucks to live in a cave. You don't have to find a glitch to save the girl, to stop getting from trying to rule the world. And no inscrutable clue you need to ponder and think. You just need an extra heart for your Link. Yes. I found one in a tree once. Goma, goma. Oh. Lever, dongo be had. Tech, Octorock. Dark Knight. Goma. Key poison ponds fill your health so you don't have to die. Use your shield,
Not
mama.
your forehead.
Not your forehead. Maybe don't play like you're blind. You don't have to call Nintendo to reach the final room. You just make your way carefully or bomb a path straight through. Yeah, you don't have to be rich to save the girl, to stop getting from trying to rule the world. Ain't no more magical sword you need to borrow and swing. You just need an extra hard for your Link. Pretty much says it all.
Christ, Jesus. Did that hurt?
Nah,
Doing
that's
that
pretty.
voice?
Nah, the falsetto's pretty easy. That's easier than so. What was hard is matching his specific vocal patterns because he goes nuts with it. But and he also does sometimes he like switches real fast from deep to high, and I can't really do that. But that song might have helped you. You know, might have taught you a few things. It's kind of an instructional parody song.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Prince. I'm pretty proud of that one.
I'm
pretty
glad.
happy with
I'm
it.
happy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're-
Yeah. If listeners or viewers want to see, well, if you're on YouTube, you've already seen the music video version of this, but that'll also be a standalone thing later on our secondary channel at Worse with Games. Of course, at Bad with Games is our main YouTube channel for you to watch the show, or you can find us on podcast platforms wherever you want. And again, patreon.com/badwithgames. Go sign up for free, and you can let us know if you'd like to see us do anything in the future for over there, which we're maybe working on plans for right now. Anything else we need to say, usually besides what's next?
Nope. Think it's just what's next.
Is this going to be, I guess I don't need to. I just feel rude if I just like steamroll into the ending without checking with you. But
Yeah, I mean, maybe I have something to say.
right. So far,
You don't know.
you never have.
Right. No, I don't have anything. Why would I? Because I already said everything.
Next week is going to be a real departure. I mean, every week has been a real departure, to be honest. We have yet to repeat a genre. We're really, in these early days, I'm trying to hit as many different genres as I can. So we're covering very different ground. I don't know if we're really going to have a real sort of repeat. Maybe the week after next week.
That'd be cool. It'll be like, see, that's because normally it's boring when everything's the same, but now it's like an event when we get the same
Right.
thing. It's cool.
Right. Next week, we are going to be playing and discussing, and I really don't know how this is going to go. Colossal Cave Adventure. This is an adventure game for the PC from 1976, which is a new genre, and also the first time on this show that it's a game I have not played. So, however, it is, a foundational title for adventure games going forward. So that's what we're going to try. I don't know. I don't know how the hell it's going to go. I'm in the dark on this one. It's going to be weird. Anyway.
Kind of like if you were in a cave, you'd be in the dark.
True. I wonder if it would be a big one.
Oh,
Let us know. Let us know what you think, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening. My name's Jonathan. We could say our names at the end again.
I don't think we need to.
No, we don't really. One thing we do always need to say at the end of the show,
Right.
though. I'll let you go first.
First? Uh-oh. He's gonna pull some kind of
Gamers out!
Gamers out?